Calhoun, McDougall, my guy.
And
Thank you so much for coming on the Free Yourself podcast. I really appreciate you giving me your time.
it's happy to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
We got my yerba mate brewing right now.
Icy water. You are
Hell
beautiful.
yeah. You're beautiful.
Same.
That's freaking awesome, man. So shit, out in LA,
Yes,
living
sir.
the good life, right?
What, trying to making it look like I am at least.
Yeah. So what's it kind of like over there right now? Because I heard they're like going back into phase 1 or some shit. Or
Yeah, I mean, so currently I have COVID, so I'm under lockdown. Yeah. Live.
what?
This podcast is live from quarantine.
Holy
Uh,
shit, dude.
yeah, I have nothing. Luckily, I'm asymptomatic, so just no sense of smell. A little loss of taste for a day or two. Can't decide if I'm coughing from like my vape or like a little bit of COVID, but it's not like really knocked me off my feet or anything. It's been pretty normal. Just had to run down, make sure no one in my circle has it, but luckily everybody's been coming back negative.
Fuck, dude.
But
Oh
yeah,
shit, man.
but
I'm happy.
LA's been pretty it hasn't really gotten that much open. Like go to like the beaches or the skate parks, whatever. Like people are out, but if you go to you're not gonna find many restaurants or anything. Like it's been it's been very quiet over here compared to like how fast life moves and the normal out here.
Yeah, holy shit, man. Well, I am freaking so happy to be talking to you and knowing that you're doing all right now, man. Freaking safe, speedy recovery, all that.
Yeah, no, we have Taylor, our good friend, was also came down with it, so I've been like hanging out with her, and like we've been like trying to not kill the world by not killing each other. So like she's also in quarantine, but we're on this is the start of our second week, so one more week and we can go get tested again.
Fuck, man. Well,
Yeah,
prayers
no,
for you
I
and you, Taylor.
appreciate it.
That shit is wild, man. Well, now that we know we're talking to someone freaking quarantine right now, I'm thrown off, but whatever. We'll keep rolling,
Surprise you.
man. Surprise, yeah. Well, shit, man. I want the people watching to kind of get a glimpse into who you are. So if you could just kind of take a little bit to explain what it is you do, and maybe then dip into like how you got into the industry and
Of course.
yeah.
I mean, I guess, I do a lot of nothing or a lot at the same time. Depends on who you ask. But from South Carolina, worked, never was like, I don't know, I was never like a musical person. All my siblings are instrumental. Like, my oldest brother plays every instrument of the sun, was really big in Germany. Never really, never left the U.S., but his music apparently got huge out there for a bit. But and he always had like issues and stuff growing up, and like strained our family. He struggles with every form of addiction you can possibly struggle with, and that was like my earliest person of like introduced me to music. Older brother, he took up playing bass and then like slowly grew out of it, got into sports. Then went to Icon and after college, and he's where I started to really get like my love of electronic music from. He actually took me to my first concert, which was Grizz or Driftworks, Grizz, and Bass Nectar. Two of those three artists are now no longer socially acceptable. But I went and saw them when I was 16 with my brother. After that, it led to me seeing Bass Nectar 40 plus times in college. And followed him through the festival scene, I went to Mexico for my graduation present to see Bass Nectar. It ended up with me becoming a vendor in the festival scene, and then like working with management with like a few guys in college. And after like getting out of college, running through like the fraternity scene, all this stuff, trying to like figure out who the hell I was, which like took a minute. By like my junior year, it's where I like started to kind of find myself, and I had gone to Okeechobee the second year, and that was my first camping festival. I've been going to EDC Las Vegas with my brother for 5 years prior to that, and I just was like, I liked it, but it just like wasn't what I was looking for at a music festival or like the scene in general. Like a little too aggressive, like West Coast ravey for me. And I like went to Okeechobee and I was like, holy shit, there's like another side of this festival scene and everything else. I was like, there's one where you go to the woods, like what? And then it just blew me away. I like made the friend group that I hang out with every time I'm home, I talk to every day. I met at that Okeechobee. I entirely restructured my life, how I look at music, how I look at friendships, who I hang out with, where I'm looking for closure and connections with people, and how I'm looking for it. It just flipped it upside down, and it changed everything for me. And then I went and I toured with artists and like live painters and muralists, and I would sell their art on their in the lots for money. And like I was like I was their lot boy. And I would run around a lot, meeting people, bulling with artists that were like, chilling at camp, whatever. And like, it all kind of accumulated to, I mean, like I've been done like little music things here and there, but I've realized like a long time ago, I like wanted to move out to LA, mostly because all the jobs that get you like really into the industry are out here, like the CAA, WME, like C3's got management offices here. Like every label's got, run out of here for the most part, or like most of them are. And there's gigs out here. And for me, it was like if I were to work for a major agency for 3 to 4 to 5 years, my original plan was I would go and work at Red Light and be on Bass Nectar's team. And it would be my like full circle. I would go from first concert to working on his management. Mm-hmm. Slowly kind of realized I didn't want to go work at Red Light Management, and I might still. I don't want to like, don't quote me on that. But I just kind of like had this like, I don't know, this call for like doing something more myself. But I ended up getting a gig with WME. But what really inspired me to finally make the move was I was at Electric Forest, and I was I have all these like merch jerseys and stuff, and I gave every one of my squad, it was like 8 of us that year, I gave everyone one of my jerseys at the festival, and everybody was wearing my shit, and we looked dope, and we all kind of matched, we kind of didn't. It was so swag, and we were rocking through the lots, and like it's like sunrise, like 7 a.m. post headliners and stuff, like we're like doing the campground stages, and this dude like walks up behind us and starts like gassing up our jerseys real hard, and I was like, yo, like what's up? And he was like, you guys like want to kick it? And I was like, sure. Dude sits down, it's Dorfek's boss, who used to like tour with Bass Nectar a bunch, and was like a resident on like Bass Nectar's events, all the same festivals. They were always there. So I'd seen him play tons of times. I've heard Bass Nectar play his tracks out for like the New Year's Eve ball drop and stuff like that. And this dude comes and sits in my lap and it's like, so what do you want to do with your life? And like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to like work in music, bro. Like I want to be a manager. I want to do all these things. And he like just like read my personality for like 20 minutes while I just like went off in like a similar fashion I'm doing now. And he was like, yeah, you could totally do it. Like this is what you need to do for sure. Like that's your gig. Like he was like, run it up, do it. And I saw him like 3 more times over the course of the weekend. And he was just kept gassing me up like, yo, dude, you're gonna crush it in music one day. Like, what's up? I literally left Electric Forest and moved to LA a week later and was like, I got to go get started. Moved out here knowing no one, didn't know what to do. Was on the struggle bus for like a month and kind of talked my way into a gig or a assistant's job at WME, which was like this 113-year-old talent agency, like big training program. It's written up in like Harvard Business and all this stuff is like the sick little program for like, it's considered a music fraternity for like music business kids. So it's all 20 to 25-year-olds with getting free concert tickets and working together 70 hours a week. And then like just like, hustling music, like cussing each other out over like $1,000, $100,000 contract deals and stuff like that. And it's like none of us can, it's like we're all getting paid $15 an hour and we're like bitching at people over like millions of dollars. It's crazy. It's the wildest concept. But so I made a bunch of friends through that. While doing that, I started a label with some of my roommates, and they've had a ton of success. I was a co-founder on that. One of their managers, which was Food Dog with the Party Foul guys in Austin, and they have also their other managers, Fred Dong, and they have High Key, Vice Bloom, and Motion. Ian had tons of cool guys, a lot of icon dudes. I was hustling hard with them while at WME, which was just like 12 hours. It was like 12 hours at work, and then come home and do like 5 more hours of like publishing stuff, which was cool. I learned to taught myself a ton about publishing. I got into this huge passion of like reading books. I read like 7 or 8 like textbooks about the music business and all that ins and outs of that stuff, and like learning publishing, teaching myself more about publishing. As COVID kicked in and everybody who worked at a music company began to get fired, this awesome guy named Louis Picardi jumped into my life. And I always had said, like, I remember one time our CEO asked me in front of, at WME, asked me in front of like the whole, or the head of music, asked me in front of like all of the kids I started with, everybody I trained with, like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to do something in music. It's never been done before. I was like, I want to create something completely different, bring it to the world, and have it be like a new standard of something. Lewis came to me with that idea, and I was like, holy crap. Casually working with Lou turned into Lou being like, I need you as my number 2, whatever that may be, and like getting me more involved with management, with Pfeiffer, like even helping you guys out where I can, and Sphinx and 88, and gosh, I mean, we have so many kids, Dr. Love, Bima, like mass content, like all these homies, dude, where it's just like that community was just real. And Elder Bass, like, dude making the weirdest, craziest bass beats, and not even like no one has to touch his stuff after he touches it, which is just like so I just got more and more involved with that over the past few months, and it got to a point where I was like, that started to become my passion more than like the Food Dog was, and they were really hitting their marks over there. So like, you know, they had built we had built the system. Food Dog is now like becoming something where they're like really getting good outputs, and it was kind of like, Austin, there's nothing I can do that you can't do, and like he's a wizard. And that's where it was like, you know, it made it more sense for me to take my point job with Aftershock, let them run their shop, and you know, it's become a happy thing where Austin, like, you know, helps support me and Lou on certain things, and occasionally I go across the table to them and answer some questions for their boys too, and that's become like a fun little dynamic. But you know, that ultimately put me to here. You know, most recent thing is one of my best friends, who I met her at Halloween, and it was she was basically the first friend I made at a festival, or one of the first friends I made at a festival. Goes by the name of Notlo. She lives in Denver, but she's from South Carolina. Me and her, she's been blowing up in the Denver scene. I saw her at like 3 of her first festival shows, where she played festivals that I happened to be at, like in Arkansas and like Oklahoma, like random spots, but like got to see my girl play. And so we currently, you know, I don't know. I get on Instagram every day. Don't know who did what, other than the guys who I know did something wrong. So we, you know, we recently hopped on the idea. We did an all-female event, 6 female DJs, 5 female VJs, and it's all benefiting Rain. And that's, you know, that's the most recent thing. It'll be like the first thing I put together. She curated the whole thing with just like, you know, she hit me up and was like, I got you artists from Madison House, got you artists from here, there, like, and they're all like, you know, some of the baddest females I've seen play huge shows and played with big artists and everything else. Like, you know, I've thrown money at some of these artists, and it's like all of a sudden I'm like semi-responsible for like bringing them into an event we're organizing, which is just so cool. And I get to like hit up all my friends back home and be like, look what me and Alex did. And that's like, you know, we announce tomorrow, and I'm giddy excited about it, because it's like really something that people from back home are going to see and be like, yo, the 2 of them got together on this one. Like, this is dope. And it, like, we met through like common love of Bass Nectar. Like, she had been to this event that I had been to, and I had a coin from it. And I like snuck it in her bag as I was leaving, and she like geeked out when she found it. And ever since then, we were homies. But being around all of our friends from back home for the 4th of July, and, you know, the dude who we had become friends around seeing, which was Bass Nectar, being just wiped from the face of the earth, I was like, immediately like, all right, what is Aftershock going to do as like a festival-based community organization? Everything else, what are we going to do to like, you know, answer the call to action of that? And like immediately I was like, I got to call Alex. We bonded over this. It's gone. And I was like, we need to come up with an idea. And immediately we were like, all right, call your girls. I'll call some DJs. We'll get it together. We're going to do it, give it to Rain, and we're going to do it with Aftershock. And, you know, that's where we are today.
Man.
I went off for a second. I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted people to get to know you, you know, and who you are and what you do. And so I'm really excited for this event that you're throwing. This is awesome. It's been, I mean, me and you both from different sides of the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough right now to see what we can even do. And live streams has been like a great thing for artists and managers and VJs and all this stuff that we can all do and come together and still throw an event. And so I want to
cool
take,
because you're seeing people push it more and more creatively. Like I watched Pfeiffer play in a full VR. It was a VR art gallery, and it was like an island. And Chris Dyer, who's like one of Electric Forest's big painters, and another like, you know, I think he's got like 1 million followers on Instagram as a muralist. And he created a whole virtual reality gallery. I watched a VR of Nick playing to me in the gallery, and it was like people are pushing it, and it's awesome. Like when people are, you know, making lemonade, you know, like, or I don't know the full saying, life hands you lemons. Yeah.
Man, it really has been so great to see, like, and you know, early on, I probably like a month or two into quarantine, Claude Von Stroke put out a whatever post saying like, you're really getting to see like who really loves to actually DJ and who's not just like in it for the money and whatnot. And it's really true. And the stuff like going on behind the scenes, like being creative and making music and stuff like that you see a lot of artists have like not gone silent, but like, you know, they're grinding in the studio and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see a lot more people that are like, this is my time to shine because I've had all this stuff that I want to expose, but like I wanted to do it at a festival. I wanted to do it at a show, but like now I have this big green screen or something that I can do this with. And now I can put like my friend on that.
There's so many things for people to get onto. Like everyone's trying to do something to kill the time, build the brand. And it's given guys like, you know, it's opened up, that's one slot that's like 30 more than usual. It's not a festival, it's not cutthroat, it's 7 or 8 homies that are willing to play for free in most cases. And it's going to charity because there's so many things wrong with the world right now that there's 1,000 ways people can get behind the cause for it. And it's, you know, you see a lot of people not playing, and that's sad to say, but you see a lot of people playing, and you see a lot of really hungry guys that are like, right, you know, C level trying to get to B level, like, you know, just breaking into that C level. But it's like they have the opportunity to really make waves for it now, and you're seeing artists endorse each other and more than ever right now. People sharing each other's music like via social media and everything else. Oh my god, I love your Groots, dude. I'm sorry, I just saw that. Your Groots, it's sick. ADHD will get you. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's been cool seeing the live stream take off. I'm curious where it'll change. I would think it would be really cool if even when live events come back, if it became like you can like there's shows in Atlanta I want to see all the time. I don't live in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I would pay $5 to stream any of those shows. And I would love that to become a thing where it's like you can be a live stream person, you can like being at your house and like being in your spot, or you can get dirty and sweaty with the boys. Like, I want to have both options. I want that to be the future. So like we'll see. I've heard people say that they think that'll be a thing where it's like now that there's been all these virtual festivals and everything, and it's going to be like a virtual festival community. I don't know if I believe it, but I'm damn sure curious, you know?
Well, especially because a lot of this has to do with, like, I mean, at every festival, you have thousands and thousands of people that are bumping elbows and shit. So, like, Now, how do
Sharing water bottles, like everything else.
like
Yeah.
how do we do a festival where it's spatially okay? And I think of, at first you're thinking, all right, well, we can only sell a quarter of the tickets, so that means we're taking, a 3/4 hit on a festival, so can we even throw it? Well, then you throw in the, maybe if we live stream it and you just pay, $5 to see one day, and each day you pay $5, and while whoever is playing, maybe you can pay specifically to get that artist paid too. Like, say you really like that artist and you want to donate to them. Like, this all just came to me while we were talking too. I'm trying to think outside the box. Like, how can we do this?
You're in the same mindset every promoter in the country's in, but that's how they're making their living. You're doing it on the other side of it, which it affects both of you the exact same. Like no one is unscathed. Just like death, it can't escape it. If you're in this industry, like we're all in the same fight right now. Like at the end of the day, and it's scary too because it's like, who's gonna make the move? Like who's gonna be the promoter to like really take it? Like I know Big Dub was planning to be one of the first big events. It's looking like they're gonna be pulling off from what I've been hearing, but
Yeah.
which is sad. But is it worth it for anyone to be the one to blow it? It's
Right?
like where it's like where it gets real sketch and like touch and go. It's like who's it? I don't. It's like is the risk worth the reward right now? And
Mhm.
I don't know if it is. I know we're not planning to do it. I know every time I go to like look into tours, it's like, oh wait, tours are like 3 months farther back into the future now. It's a scary concept. I don't know when it's going to get back to normal. My gut tells me after the elections, the cure is just going to magically appear to the world. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Right? If that happens, I'm on. I don't.
Yeah, bro, I'm going to Canada. Call me.
Right? That's wild. I didn't even think about that. That's
That's me and Max Gold, the creative director with that. We talk about this. We always like whenever he like works on flyers and stuff. Like I'll usually hop on and like talk with him and like tell him if it looks dope or not because it's good to have an extra set of eyes when you do stuff when you do creative stuff like that. And that's what our conversation always ends up like. It's just gonna get cured like. It's either like January 1st or it's gonna be like the day after the elections.
dude. That shit's wild, man. I just got my take the tea out of my yerba, but the so we've seen baseball starting to really struggle, which blows my mind because soccer over in Europe
has been rolling, dude.
has been going fine.
Yeah. It's
So
like, what can't we figure out? Like,
yeah.
I think basketball is doing a decent job from what I've been hearing, but it's only because the players took such a big commitment. And I know, like, the big thing for them was they weren't going to go back into the season from their players association. I think it was Chris Paul was like their spokesperson for it all, but they weren't going to go back unless they gave them more ways to like support BLM and everything through that process. And if you watch it, I mean, they've done a good job. Like people are doing the VR stuff, and that's like who are in the first like 10 rows, 20 rows of the stands are the people that are like, it's like people doing what we're doing right now, but they're like virtually in the game. Like, woo! It's crazy concepts. It's cool because you're seeing what players can really feed off the crowd. I guess like I don't know. I'll say it, LeBron, you're not playing that well right now. There's somebody out there like, oh my God, LeBron. Like, I don't know. But like, I gotta quit betting on the Lakers is what I've learned.
Yeah,
But like
dude.
baseball, like they're having some struggles with it. But I just think there was more of a rush for them where the NBA players were like, we'll take it or leave it. Like, we got some other shit we gotta get like ironed into this deal before you guys get us playing ball. And for them, like, they have like education reform on the back of their jerseys, or like Black Lives Matter, or like, naming one of the victims and stuff like that, where it's like, and everyone in the freaking building takes a knee every time the national anthem's on. And it's like that went from, Colin Kaepernick getting run out of the NFL to where it's like every NHL player is doing it, every NBA player is doing it, every Major League Baseball player is doing it. And there's some red-blooded patriots in Major League Baseball. They're on their knee during the national anthem because there's something going on. But that's been a cool response in the wake of like forcing themselves into their jobs, and like it's just like anyone else, I guess, with their gig. Like these dudes are going back to work to get the world kind of back to normal. And I'll admit, like sports, quarantine, everything else, been a hell of an outlet to see like people interacting on TV. It's awesome.
Dude, sports was my first love, right? Like I grew up playing every sport. So like to have it all back.
I know you played lacrosse. You look like
it. How you know? How you know?
I was year-round lacrosse, like 6th grade through senior year, and then like half of my freshman year of college, I played, and then I was like, wait, this was fun. It's not fun anymore. I'm gonna go join a fraternity.
Yeah, I played every sport until 6th grade. Then 6th grade to sophomore year of high school was just hockey, and then I picked up lacrosse because a bunch of my buddies. So I actually went to a Catholic high school after going to public school my whole till 8th grade. So, but my public school finally got a lacrosse team, and all my friends from my hometown were playing lacrosse. So I got it. One time I was hanging out with my buddies, and I like picked up a stick and threw it the first time, and I was like, "Yo, this shit's easy. Let's go." I was like, I can do this shit. And fast forward to senior year, freaking starting attack on my high school, and I transferred back to my public school to play with my boys.
Dude, I love stuff like that.
Dude, lacrosse.
Yeah, dude, I mean, it's cool because I think about it all the time. Like all the like summer, like I'm sure hockey's the same with like the summer ball, summer puck, whatever you call it. It's I'm sure it's the same where it's like they're like little sport festivals that you go play at, like little hockey, little lacrosse festivals. I realized that like I set a precedent for my life. Like in the summer, you go to festivals. I started that when I was like 13. And it just translated perfectly into music.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like I never missed a beat, bro. I've never been in one place for a summer. I lived on an RV that was last summer. Lived on an RV traveling festivals last summer, selling art. Blast. And then I moved and worked at a big pretty talent agency. I went from like the dirtiest part of the music industry to like the prettiest part of it. When I tell people that where I work, they were like, "Wait, what you do?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I sold art on the lots. Like, just ran around, read people's campsites, and like pushed $10 prints on them."
That's freaking awesome, man. What was your favorite festival last year?
Ooh, honestly, Backwoods was awesome for 2 days. There was just no rules at all. It was a bunch of jam bands. Space Jesus played. Fishes played like 3 sets. Yeti played a 4-hour Sunrise set. Minnesota played like 3 sets. G Jones got canceled. Zed's Dad got canceled. And speaking on that, so I said 2 days. There was a helicopter crash, and like unfortunately and sadly, like people lost their lives during the event to a helicopter crash. They were doing like helicopter rides around the event. It's been something they've done forever. I was gonna say all their old logos had like a helicopter coming over the mountain right there, because it was like a big signature for that festival grounds. It was where McCon was too, was to do helicopter rides, and unfortunately they had an error, and even worse, the weather in those mountain like areas. When it comes on, it's real sketchy for like an hour or 30 minutes, even not even like it's always small, terrifying storms. One of those rolled in right after the helicopter crash, and like emergency units just couldn't get to the people that were in danger, and it was just like an incredible weekend that got really terrible. And then obviously like Electric Forest it's like Mecca for dirty electronic music looks. And I loved it. So, and I love it every year. Okeechobee's like, it's very homey. I think it was, yeah, no, they didn't have it last year. So I was at, I think went to Deja Vu around the same time, which was in Mexico, which was Bass Nectar's festival in Mexico, all-inclusive resort, Dirty Bird pool parties, like pirate ship pool parties with all the bass boys, like Rez, Grizz was good this year. We didn't go last year. Ill Gates played a bunch, Jansen, Yeti, all the dudes that I mess with. And so that was really cool because I've never seen a festival like it, and it's never going to be one like it again. Oh, that COVID cough.
I already forgot. I'm like, this guy's fine.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I mean, like I said, fortunate that I'm asymptomatic. You know, a lot of people aren't as casual on day 7 of COVID as I am.
Yeah.
It's a sad truth. There's been a lot of, I don't know. I mean, New York, you guys, I mean, they had it bad up there, but like the levels of how scary COVID got in New York is like, it really gets weird. Like, or not weird, but like, you know, sad, terrifying, questioning to your government. Cuomo's the man. I think he crushed it. You know, rallying his people and like taking the lead as the mayor, the governor, whatever he may be, just put it together. And I don't know, love watching his press conferences, but like, you know, seeing like morgues overflowing and stuff like that, like never in my lifetime will I see something like that again. It was crazy. It's terrifying to turn on the news every day for like 5 months. It still is.
Oh yeah,
and now it's hurricane season.
That doesn't happen on this TV.
yeah, and like now all of a sudden it's hurricane season. Like,
yeah, what?
Like, oh, dude, and they're predicting like 20 hurricanes. Like, I was up late reading it last night because it was just like, oh god, like, because for me now it doesn't affect me, but it's like everyone I know and love is gonna get hit by a hurricane. So it's like I'm constantly just like, oh my god, when's the next one?
Yeah, you're from freaking South Carolina. Like,
yeah, all my homies live in Charleston, you know, Viper's down in Wilmington, and then it gets up north, and all you guys, like, once it gets up north, too, it gets even farther inland, so every one of you, like, you know, like, Lewis is going to get rained on at some point today. Like, you're getting rained on right now.
Lewis and we're only like 40 minutes away from each other.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize they were so close.
Yeah, I mean, the gym I go to is probably right around his house. Like, because I go into Pennsylvania because New Jersey gyms aren't open yet, and so I head over to a retro fitness over there, and you know it's not my love of diesel gym that is freaking it just got everything that a power lifter, a bodybuilder, to be honest, like even just someone who's like trying to get into it and get healthier, like you have a bunch of people that are dedicated. So like every time you go to the gym, because almost everyone there is on like pretty much a set schedule, right? Like most people that exercise regularly are people that have pretty structured lives so that they can do that. So they're going to the gym at the same time every day. So then you have like a little community that builds at that time, you know, so it's like a little family within the big family of diesel. And
I mean, my brother, it's like he was a powerlifter forever. He even held a world record for a little bit. And he's like, he looks just like me, but like cut off from the head, and it's like, and so like, but he like, so like I know a bunch about that, and then like I was a wrestling coach all through college. I was like a head varsity coach for a year and everything else.
No shit.
I was a big wrestler growing up. And all of our kids, one of our coaches who was like had kids at the school and like was very invested in the school, he would go and lift with some of the kids at like 5:30 a.m. And they would like always be like making these inside jokes about like these certain people and stuff. And it was like, you guys got your own little like 5 a.m. clique that y'all hang out with every day. And he was like, oh yeah, like Randy. Oh, we love Randy. He always wears knee-high socks and a headband and freaks out the whole time. And like, I'm just like, wow, I'm never gonna wake up that early, but it sounds great.
Yeah. It's so true though, man. The little families that form within the group of people that go to that specific gym is it's awesome too. And also at Diesel, like almost everyone there is prepping for some competition, whether it be, you know, a powerlifting, a bikini, a bodybuilding, whatever it is. So everyone's like, you know, 12 weeks out or 15 weeks out or like 3 weeks out. So
I mean, that gives you kind of something like you can invest in people in the sense of like you get to be interested in that with them. Like you get to be like, how'd it go? Like, you ready? You ready? Like, oh man, like you do this, like you'll get 20 more pounds on your next squat. And it's like those little things. All of a sudden they come back and they're like, yo, I won by 5 pounds or something like that. And it's like, yeah, I told you, bro. But like, you don't get that if you don't have a community like that.
hell yeah, man. The one really, you know, great thing about that too is everyone sort of has their own, you know, journey through fitness. So you have a lot of people that have a lot of experience, especially when you boil it down to like the powerlifters and the bodybuilders and the bikini competition, you know, all the swimsuit competition people, like, so they all have all these like tricks and tips because we've all done shit wrong and figured it out and learned from all these different people. So you learn so much just from being in that environment. It's like
the same thing we're trying to do with Aftershock.
yeah. You have like 10 trainers around you because they know more than any Instagram model with a pretty face and a nice ass. You know what I mean? Because they've worked so hard to get to that point. And I have nothing against these pretty faced, you know, nice ass, you know, Instagram models. Like, I fancy myself one of the. So like, you know, I want everyone to do whatever sets their soul on fire and whatever can help them, you know, move forward. And you know, Instagram has become a spot where a lot of people can become, whether it be brand ambassadors or get sponsorships and stuff. So like, every single person, like, do what you got to do to freaking get by, because especially right now, like people expect people in the music industry, people in the fitness industry, because, you know, a lot of gyms everywhere are closed. So like, more power to everybody fucking grinding right now. And
it's been cool to see community and like community really grow around social media, social interaction from the home.
yeah. You see,
Nah,
man.
I always have like a light cough. I've been I used to smoke cigarettes all the time, and now I got so annoyed leaving concerts and losing my spot to smoke cigarettes that now I vape. I just occasionally, like, I think it's like 30% vape juice, like 70% COVID.
Shit, man. Well, so let me ask you this. Have you, after your positive test, have you gone to, like, or have you been talking to doctors and stuff about what to do during all of this?
They like call you and give you like I did like the full like 40-minute conversation. I let them do the interview with me and everything else just because I had nothing else to do. And they told you, like, they tell you what you are. I mean, they tell you what you know, and if you have any questions, you ask them. But it's really just kind of like mind your P's and Q's, tell people you've been around, stay put, have some sanity, just don't put other people at risk. And like that's kind of like been what I've gone for. I don't think I left this room for like a week, and even when I get downstairs, I'm like, zoom, like run up and down the stairs, get back upstairs. But it's the information's about the same, but it's crazy. I was like watching a news thing, and it's like people are taking it less and less serious. Like even when they like get that call, apparently, like I watched a Vice News thing where like they just sat with the girl that's the one making the calls to everyone that gets positive results, and like the mixed reviews that girl is getting when she picks up the phone is crazy. Right? Some people are just completely like blow her off. And some people are like, oh my God, I'm dying. And it could be like the person blowing her off has 3 times or 20 times worse symptoms than the person that's like on the other end. So like it's cool to see that. It's crazy that like the unrest of everyone is making it harder and harder for them to like invest in like the actual, like, this is a health issue. Like, like stay put, or like, wear the mask. Like wearing a mask is important, bro. People get real pissed about it, but like that, I mean, it's like, it's like the only real preventative thing you got. And like it's been a thing in Asia and stuff to wear masks for like since like pre-SARS, which was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or I don't know the timeline of all these things, but it's like, so it's kind of like crazy that like, the US is built off of like, here's my hand, shake it. And it's like, you have no idea what I've done with this the past 7 hours. And it's just, it's like, it's a weird concept where you're about to see, I guess, I don't know. It's like, I hope the US is able to grab some, take some ideas, take some things from Europe, take some things from the East and Asia and everywhere else, and like actually like improve a little bit. But like, we'll see. This has just been the ultimate show of like Americanism, and it's kind of terrifying.
I do what I want. No, you
can't.
Dude,
I read a report that a guy shot up a building with an AK-47 over them asking him to wear a mask.
Jesus Christ. See,
like,
and like, how have I not heard of that? Like, why is that not?
Vice, dude. I've been ripping Vice's news plugs. It's because there's this raw. I mean, they cover the Portland stuff more than anyone, and that's I've heard. And I have a friend that's from Portland, was staying in Portland all of COVID, and like through like the beginning, like up until like 3 weeks ago, and they've been in the heat for I think it's 42 days now, maybe more. But he was like, dude, you gotta like, he was like, it's not what you're seeing, and at the same time, it is what you're seeing. So I mean, I've been trying to find just like news on that because it's terrifying, dude. Like, I went protesting in Asheville, North Carolina, with the guys from the Undergrowth, Audio Goblin, and Bacon CD, Zach Dick, and Cut Rugs, Zeppelin, a bunch of their artists who are like, I'm honestly like very fond of their music, like big supporter. And then I got to go out and like stand for something with them. But like, we got tear gas, we got pepper spray, we got literally like Zach got shot with rubber bullets, like hit in the ass multiple times with rubber bullets, trying to pick people out that were getting shot on the ground, like crying and tearing their eyes out from being tear gassed so much. And he's just, pulling people out of the crowd, and he's just getting shot up the whole time. Like, that's terrifying. And it's happening on like 30-degree worst scale in Portland, and
getting like
all these other cities, like people, they have what's it called, warrant squads in New York now arresting the people that are organizing stuff, and they don't have to. They're unmarked cars, they're unmarked officers and stuff like that, and they're legally allowed to just pull up and kidnap people. It's crazy, and it's like, and then there's like renegade squads and everything else, and there's like protester renegade squads protecting people against military renegade squads, everything else. Like, it's like when you 10 15 years ago, when you turn on the news and you see like a country in the Middle East or something like having mass uproar or division in their country, that's on our home front, bro. And it's crazy. And I don't know, I try to stay informed, and like I'm sure, like, when I go home, my parents are like, what has happened to our brainwashed child? When I go to their little pocket of the South, and I'm like, this is what's going on in the world. But like, when they I'm scared, I'm interested, and I'm like real excited. It's cool. It's like the young people are taking the country back, and it's exciting times, but it's also like terrifying times. But it's like, I think people are finally standing up for things, and it's really cool, and it's really exciting to be able to be a part of it. And like with our Aftershock launch, where we got to do, 6 organizations that give money to all of them and raise money, and all stand behind it and talk about it a little bit. And us internally, we're able to like really talk about things going on, and like I feel like we do a good job of like, hey guys, like, isn't this terrible? And it's like everybody goes in on it for a little bit. Like, these aren't conversations that people were having 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And like now, like, we're talking about it, and it's cool to be on. It's cool to be in a place where I can feel like I'm doing something about it. And I hope we are, and I hope I am, and I hope all of my friends who stand for it and stand with me on certain issues. And pretty much, I think a lot of us all see eye to eye on a lot of things these days. it's cool to feel a part of that, but it's not because it's cool. It's because we're starting to see little pockets of change, and that's like it's special, man. It's not the America that the founding fathers have planned is not going to be the America that we need to have anymore. Rome only lasted 500 years, greatest civilization to ever be built. They might have beat us. Like we got to make some changes, or like, you know, we're doomed to repeat. History is doomed to repeat. Like that's the whole point of learning history, is so you don't repeat it.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I've also seen stuff like in China, and you know, whatever. I heard this on a podcast about, you know, whatever. And so it's like the event happened, then someone talked about it, then someone on a podcast heard that person talk about it, and now I'm talking about it. So like, forgive me if any of the details aren't correct, you know, but
That's how like 90% of my information is hearsay at this point, because like there's nowhere to get. There's no consistent information out there. Every news channel's an agenda. It's
yeah.
hard out here to really know who to listen to and who not to. Like you're being fed some sort of angle by everyone. So
Yeah.
speak freely.
So, you know, to your point, like it's cool when you see an expert on a podcast, because you know that expert like isn't getting paid to be on that podcast, and they're just gonna tell you what they know and their experience and stuff. So like they were talking about how in China they're like they've you know got trainloads of Muslims that they're putting to like basically a concentration camp, and like and yeah, and it's exactly what happened in World War II to the Jews, and we have how do we do anything about that? Like that, yeah, it's
military's not mobilized anymore. Like, and it's at the same time, if the problem is, if political China is pushing the same initiatives as U.S. politics, they're not going to do anything about it. Like, oh, I watched this special the other night. Cambodia is like lying about their numbers. There's only been 130 cases. No one's died. And they're like changing their laws on security. Their president is postponing the election like 5 times or 4 times now. And all these like horribly corrupt things. He did something to he let that Carnival cruise ship into Cambodia at the beginning of all this. Donald Trump endorsed him. And so it doesn't matter what happens to them as long as he does things that makes Donald Trump look like he did things and stuff like that. And I'm not saying yes or no if Donald Trump is right or wrong. No, though, like I hope you can infer how I feel about the man. But the fact that like all it takes is like some little like check on a political agenda to be like, okay, morally, fuck it, like whatever, man. Like you guys are great, and it's like no. Like their citizens are not happy right now. Like their people are not happy. Like people are standing up. And like it's just crazy to me to think like I don't know. It's the curtains have been pulled back on so much crap. It's just like it's very easy to see certain things that are going on right now because it's just so. It's the cause and effect is so direct, and it's terrifying. But it's like. I don't know. Like it's like it's sad because it's like, you know, like how can we on a national level or in like an individual level help people and like Israel's doing horribly right now. Cambodia, I think it's Cambodia, like they removed like all of their like human rights to where like they have they're able to basically like track everything their public's doing, no matter what, like phones, anything, whatever. If you misinform people about COVID, you'll like disappear from the fucking face of the earth there. Like they're kidnapping and like reporters and like renegade reporters and stuff are disappearing from the earth over there. And it's like, but like how like we can't even help ourselves right now.
yeah.
And it's like, and it's terrifying because it's like I don't know, like you want something like the public of the world is not able to protect itself from its government right now, and it's creepy, it's terrifying, it's scary, and it's very like it's a very helpless feeling for everyone because it's like I mean all we can do is stand up for it and like do our protesting and everything else, and we get shot for it. You get pepper sprayed. Even in Israel, and I was laughing, their crowd control, they have like a Humvee with a fire engine hose on the top, and it's like it's a cool little like fire engine gun. That's good crowd control for not destroying your fucking people. People are losing eyes, like dying from getting like hit in the face with tear gas guns, getting shot in the eye with rubber bullets, getting like shot in the skull and getting a metal covered rubber bullet stuck in their head and like stuff like that. It's like look at that thing in Texas years ago where like 14 people died or like 20 people died from just tear gas, from non-lethal tear gas. They shot it up in the house, killed a bunch of women and children. And it's like we still use that in 2020. That was from like 1980s, and we're still using that on innocent people in like 2020, or people who are doing something that even the founding fathers were like, the right to protest. This makes sense. This is what we do. And they're like, yeah, you could do that until 8 o'clock, and then and
Yeah.
it's like, that's wild. There's just so much not right, and it's like it doesn't change unless it physically changes. Like
Well,
rip up the Constitution. Let's get a new one. Like
let me ask you because your experience down in Asheville, right? That's where you were
yeah,
protesting.
yeah, that's where I was. I
So,
went up and was visiting all of them to kind of like catch up because Zach Dick was like one of my like first friends through like the EDM community in South Carolina because we went to school together, and he's just been growing out the undergrowth as well as a very outspoken activist. He's Jewish and has always been very like prideful about that, and it's translated into him being very invested in the movement and what's going on now. And me personally going up there, he was like, I know you came to town to like squash some music, but he was like, there's a protest tonight. I need to be there. And he was like, I hope you're down to go with me. I was like 1,000,000,000,000,000%. Like, let's make some signs. Let's go at it. And
so
so it was a cool. I mean, it was cool. So what's up?
but about that, you said people were getting tear gas and shot rubber bullets and all that stuff. So let me ask you, was it legitimately, because you were there, was it legitimately people were being extremely peaceful, like not doing anything but marching, like not destroying things and looting, and they still got tear gas and still got rubber bullets?
It was
Or
100% peaceful, and then unfortunately there's a but. Someone threw firework towards the police, which is what we've seen being the thing everywhere is like mortar bombs. And like, don't get me wrong, me and my homies used to do that for fun. But can't throw it at a cop.
yeah,
Even in that situation, like you're bringing danger onto the crowd with someone, rolled a mortar up under the cops. What was scary, what was like real crazy, and like I realized it like 5 or 6 minutes after like it got like pretty heavy there, was they shoot all the tear gas behind the crowd, and then they spray them with the rubber bullets in the front to force them through the tear gas. And I at first I was like, oh, that's coincidence. And then like it gets peaceful again, and like the line reforms and it's fine. And then something happens. Somebody throws a water bottle or something, and same thing. And you're like, wow, like I'm being herded through tear gas. Like and it's like like an innocent girl who feels compelled, or like even me, like I had no idea like that like I mean they told me like yeah like we might get tear gas, so I didn't know it was like a real thing. And like just because I haven't been in that situation, and like I can only imagine how many people were even less prepared than I was for the night to be like that. And it's just it's very helpless when the police are the ones sending you through this type of evening. It was terrifying, and then it became, we watched it get more and more hostile between police and people. And one thing we picked up on from our conversations with them all being Asheville natives and stuff was there were a lot of people coming from out of town. And I genuinely believe there are people who have absolutely no alignment with the movement, the cause at all, that are just super down to throw fireworks at cops and see what they do. Like, and there are kids who are, you know, wrongly arrested maybe like 5 or 6 years ago for doing something kind of stupid in high school or college or something, or at that age. And, you know, they got a grudge to pick with some cop, and that's their way of doing it. Like, we picked up on like some more agendas, some more personal agendas, just like the government, that were happening in these protests. Where so it's like, it's scary even there, because you have little seeds of bad even in all the good, and it makes it worse and worse and worse. 90%, 98% of protesters, 99.9% of protesters are there to peacefully protest. There's always going to be a decimal of really bad fucking people that are there to stir it in some sort of direction. And that's one thing I picked up on from going to rallies and protests out here, Asheville, Charleston, Columbia, where I'm from, and I went to one in Charlotte too. And that's one thing I picked up on, is like, no matter how many people are peaceful, there's going to be a couple people, and if they do what they came there to do, it's going to become like 100% not what everyone set out for it to be. And that's where it gets kind of like scary. But overall, everyone's just genuinely trying to peacefully protest. No one wakes up and is like, I want to get tear gas today. Like, I want to get shot. I want to maybe lose my eye. Like, no one. I hope no one's waking up like that. And so it's one of those things where you just sick the artist from tonight, or for the female not stuff. Okay, but it's just like, it's kind of scary. It's just kind of scary to see like all the 4 or 5 sides of the protest, not just like the overall thing, the police versus protesters, but like the individuals.
Look, to that point, like, in order for a protest to work and be peaceful, it has to be 100%, right? But also, in order for the cops to do the right thing, like 99.9% of cops are good too. But like, 100%. in both instances though, there are 2 things where you can't have that decimal place. You can't have someone who is mentally unstable, who's doesn't know how to handle themselves in an altercation, that doesn't have the proper training, to that's racist, that has a different agenda as a police officer or as a protester. Because in both instances, look what you end up with. You end up with the tear gas, you end up with the rubber bullets, you end up with the peaceful protest gone wrong, and you end up with the cops doing unnecessary force and fucking people getting killed in both instances. So
like parents seeing their kid who's like, you know, proud of child for standing up for things, wanting to protest, being active in the community. And then at the same time, it's like, kid might not come home. Like straight up. Kid might disappear from the face of the earth. Kid might get uncovered, you know, shot in the face, and inside his skull exploded from getting shot with rubber bullets, or something terrible like that. Or like a broken ribs or something like that. Or like, you know, the first call is going to the protest. Next call is like emergency room, like your child's ICU right now. Like, that's a scary thing that, like, you know, like, I didn't tell my parents I was doing that, because I was like, it's not that they don't want me to stand up for it, but they'd be like, any other way? Like, is there any other way you can do it? It's like, no, there's not. So, but it's like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I call them after and like, hey guys, this is where I was last night. But it's not like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. Because it's like, I'm not trying to terrify my parents. I know I'm taking risk upon myself to go out and do things. And it's just one of the, you know, it's been my mentality since I went to festivals and was like an animal. And it's like kind of my mentality with this too. Like, if I'm doing something I believe in, then like, you know, I need to do it right, come out on the other side and tell the story and not tell my predictions.
That fact right there is so important, and being able to be open and honest about your experience and your story.
And that's the thing is, I learned the most about what's going on by being there. I've learned way more about both sides of that story at the protests around, watching cops take a knee with civilians, watching people hug cops, like, have genuine interactions with them on the front line of a protest where it's like real, raw emotion. I saw that. I didn't see what CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, whatever they want me to see. I saw it with my own eyes, and that was where I was really able to form my opinions about the movement. I went early on and got to do that. But that's my recommendation to anyone that could be listen to this or whatever is like, don't take what you are given as information when you have the ability to go and get the information yourself. See
Yeah,
it for
I mean, experience is the best teacher. Like
100%.
that was some heavy wind. I don't know if that was wind or thunder or what. Oh yeah, by the way, there's a hurricane going.
Yeah, we both got problems. We're dealing with it.
Shit, man. No, what was I was just about to talk. So, thank you for being honest about the people throwing the firework and all that, and because that's important to say too, because if you could have easily came on here and just been like, nope, we were peacefully protested and the cops did wrongfully shot us with tear gas and wrongfully now.
But I think that goes back to what you said, the decimal, where it's like there's no room for error on either side, and that's like, and that's the thing is, I know South Carolina's basketball coach, like a week after George Floyd's death, made his whole team get on the Zoom call with a sheriff, I believe, and like talk about traffic stops and what's going through their head and what's going through the pedestrian's head, what's going through the cop's head, and where the errors of the decimals, where they lie and what causes things to happen. And it was like, for them, it was like the police officers as scared as for having to do it as the African American or the white person in a sketchy vehicle or whatever, or regardless of ethnicity. They have the same fears at that stop, and they have the same triggers at that stop, and the same things are going through their mind as both sides of it. And that's what's causing a lot of these horrible traffic stops. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of excess things that happen. There are bad seeds on both sides, and bad things happen to bad people, and it's terrible. But at the same time, bad things are happening to good people, and it's strictly instinctual fear on both sides. And I think, and that's where people are kind of getting at, where they're like, the racism and the seeds of all these things are they're not surface level. There's subconscious things at play where people are racist and have no idea, type deal. And it's like it's profiling, and it's that, not that they do it consciously, but it's like movies that were depicting people in certain ways and things like that they've grown up seeing are all way deep back in there, and it comes out in these instinctual things. And it's what you were saying about the decibel. That's what's so important, is there's no room for error on either side, as far as like, you have to be the best citizen and best minded protester. At the same time, the police have to be in that same mentality. They have to be there to keep the peace, not to enforce it. And it's if you lose those mentalities, it takes nothing to turn it into a horrible night for a lot of people.
Yeah, and even to kind of, I don't want to say devil's advocate, but to talk about like the stuff that's deep seated, like to call it racism versus to call it like protection. Because like, look, if I see someone who looks shady, I'm walking in New York City, I might cross the street, right? And that's to protect myself. Versus if I see someone that's walking in a polo and khakis and their polo's tucked in, and they're not a threat to me. right? So like
Like
that.
that's Chad. Like Chad's not
Yeah,
gonna do
exactly. Like Chad's not gonna freaking rob me and freaking, but like Chad might. I don't know, but like you know what I mean. Like so,
like
so
I mean, and devil advocate to that. Like look at Ted Bundy. You know,
yeah, no, exactly, exactly. So
like guys like that. Like you see a lot of like the crazy serial killers and stuff are like super like seem like chill dudes, and then all of a sudden you like listen to them sit down and talk for 5 or 6 minutes, and you're like, you're a psychopath.
yeah, dark and like
Yeah, but it's like,
freaking,
and like I mean, shit, I've just thought of it, but like Ted Bundy's a great example of where that's wrong. You know, like he has fan clubs of girls. You know what he would do if those fan clubs of girls saw him? Not good things. It's a weird thing, but that's what you say. Like police are trained. Like if they see someone like fumbling through their shit and they're already like, have some reason to believe that it's suspect, like there's not much it takes them to set them off if they see you reaching for something. And that's like I mean, probably like 5 or 6 deaths in the past couple of years that we know about and people are talking about. And like, think about, the 100 that were just like not spoken about.
yeah.
And
Or even
it's
just
like,
it was brought up on another podcast. Like even just the instances where someone was beat to shit but didn't die. Like we don't hear about that either. You know what I mean? But and so with the cops, like the fear is already there as they're approaching, and then something happens and they're already in fight or flight mode. And so Jocko Willink, I freaking, this guy is amazing. He's incredible. He's a Navy SEAL. He's trained Navy SEALs, like all this stuff. He's got his own podcast. All this. He talks about how the cops should be 20% of the time that they're on the clock should be training, because the more you're training, the more you're not going to be the fight or flight isn't going to click on when you get grabbed. The fight or flight isn't going to get kicked on when someone's reaching for something, because they're trained enough to know what to do to protect themselves. So that the training right there to make it so that they're not fearful of that instance, because someone who's never been in a fight, when a fight happens, it's fight, flight, freeze, and you don't know what
freeze. so that leaves two.
Yeah. Don't freeze. First of all, you got to do. But you got to decide. You're either gonna you can't flight and then second guess it and not go hard on flight.
And you're in even more trouble. Yeah, man. I mean, I was in so many scuffles in college, dude. It was like the thing to go to the bars, get plastered, and then just like rage fight people. It was like it wasn't like my thing, but it was like the thing of the school at the time. Like my freshman and sophomore year, it was like my fraternity. Like if you went out and like got in a fight in front of everyone and like beat the shit out of someone, that's when you were pledging. That's when you would get like the day off, stuff like that. So like I got in like one fight where they like cleared the parking lot, cut the lights on, and like let me just like duke it with the guy in the parking lot. Like 2 bars, porches overlooking it, like people just like cheering us on, and I won the fight. Big wrestler guy, had my moves. And then I wake up the next morning, like get home, I'm all drunk and whatever, get home, sleep it off, wake up till like 30 texts, like, great job last night, I saw the video, like, way to go, man, so proud of you, and like all this stuff. And I was like, and that was where my like distaste for the fraternity scene started to grow, because it was like, yeah, what are you teaching me? And it took me a while to like really get out of it and become this tie-dye dripping kid that I am. But I went from like a barber jacket to a tie-dye pretty quick there. But it was that's kind of like where like I don't know, I first like really like learned that. Like I didn't get in fights in high school. I went to private school. Sports were my like aggressiveness, but like it was crazy to see that translate into just pure testosterone and bars. And it's like, oh, that girl you like talked to that guy from that other group, and it was too much for me, man. But it's like you see people. It's crazy when you are in a situation like that where you literally see people's brains go process like, do I fight? Do I fight? Do I freeze? And it's like it's crazy seeing the different types of personalities and how they react to conflict. And it's
I'm the opposite. Like I avoid fights. I do not want to be
now, bro. I'm the biggest bitch to conflict these days. Like I mean, I'll go protest, but don't ask me to throw anything.
I'm the guy that, you know, because I played hockey and lacrosse, right? Like two vicious sports, right?
Very much.
Pads on, with pads and a cage on, I'm fearless, right?
Yeah.
like
yeah,
so many, dude.
I think I'm pretty. Like I want to protect this.
Dude, but in college, man, there was this one guy in particular that, you know, because when I was messed up, I mouthed off because, you know, my 5'4" at that point, like 145 pounds soaking wet self felt real big with like 15 fraternity brothers behind me, you know. But he caught me when I didn't have the 15 fraternity brothers, and you know, he was a hockey player too, you know, which kind of it made me salty because like I was like we kind of know each other, like we're in that same group too, and like but he was trying, you know, he was doing trying to get into the fraternity house party, and like we earned that shit to be in those parties. So like
that's the mentality too, dude. That you really do feel like you got to go through some shit to get like that level of like I can move freely at this place, and it's and as a guy, territorial and everything else, you get the like same girls coming and stuff, and when a stranger comes into it, you're like, and especially at that age, it's kind of like, I mean, that's what you do. You react poorly. Like that's just like,
and also like all the fraternity brothers, we know we're not gonna go into someone's room, steal some shit, like fuck with the house.
Yeah,
like, we don't know this other dude that's coming in that, you know, maybe he's got a great heart and he wants to eventually pledge and he's just coming there because he wants to have a good time. But maybe fucking not. Maybe he wants to go in there and fucking rob the place. Maybe he wants to go in there and start a fight.
At that age, you don't know enough about people.
Yeah.
So you can like really process that, right? All you know is stranger.
Yeah. And so then, you know, me, not in the right state of mind, this guy's, you know, causing trouble at the back door and you know, so I'm gonna feel real big and be like, you get the fuck out of here. Like you're not welcome here. Like we know each other. We're gonna be in here. And so then when he like approached me, so like, and also here's the thing, like I was blacked out. I don't remember this happening. Like I was told later on after he wanted to fight me that that's why. And I'm like, damn, I mean, I believe it. I believe I did that. Like,
it sounds like something I'm capable of.
And it was, and it was definitely like, it was something that I deserved to, no, what's the right wording? I absolutely should have gone to him and made the amend, like apologize and explained, like, look, listen, like I was messed up. You didn't deserve to be treated that way. Like I could have talked to you like a man. But at that point, like the damage had been done and he wasn't willing to have that conversation. Right. He just wanted to get me back. He just wanted to beat my ass. But, you know, luckily I could get the fuck out of there and avoid the ring. You know what I mean? So I guarantee, I don't guarantee because, you know, people change and people mature. So I don't know how he would react if he see me. And also what's kind of messed up is, so he's also known to be a person to start fights. So whether he instigated what I did I don't know. I wasn't there. But people told me like, because like I knew everyone on the hockey team. At that point in college, I was on the roller hockey team. He was on the ice hockey team. Like I started off playing roller and ice at Westchester, and then I just went with roller. We were fucking nice. We were like tops in the nation, like always in the top 5, always going to nationals. So always, it was awesome. So, and roller hockey was fun. It was 4-on-4, no offsides, no icing. Like it's freaking
Yeah.
it's wild. It's all offense. It's all offense.
For hockey.
Like so much fucking fun. And so at that point, like our circles were kind of, because some people played both still, but so I knew a lot of the guys that were playing ice hockey because, whatever. So they told me like he's the kind of guy that goes out looking for fights. And so once he had that reason to fight me, like the flip was
Game's over. Yeah,
flip,
yeah.
like, and so like a couple times we had ran into each other out, and he was just like ready to freaking kill me, and like I legitimately like had to get away. Like, and it there was one point when it was at a sorority house. Like,
the worst place.
come on, bro. Like, we're all here for, you know what I
We all
mean?
here to enjoy the company of these girls. We're not here to fight. This is the one place we're not here to fight.
Yeah, and it's like the girls' sorority house throwing an invite party. So like I got invited by a girl to this party, and like you're gonna ruin it for them. Like that's where my head's at, right? But that's not where his head's at. His head is like, I gotta kill this guy that tried to make a fool of me in this, and thinks that I can't beat the shit out of him because he's so much smaller than me and whatnot. And it sucks that like I used to be that guy, like, but at the same time, like it doesn't suck because I've also learned from it, and the best way to not get harmed in a fight is not to have the best training it's to get the fuck out of there. So like I have no shame in saying like I fucking ran from that guy a couple times. Like, fuck that, whatever. I already got 3 fake teeth. Like, I don't need any more. I don't need any more, and so now he, like, I know I'm not going to blow up his name or anything on this shit. Like that's uncalled for. But he's a police officer down in South Jersey now. And, I live in Central Jersey. So whatever, it might be South Jersey. It might be Pennsylvania. I'm not completely sure. Don't quote me on that or whatever. But, like I would hope that we could, have that conversation and be like, look, we were both freaking young, dumb, and fucking and getting fucked up. But I wouldn't blame him if he still wanted to kick my ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's
in the same notion, dude. Like, some of my like best friends, like growing up, were kids that like we would get in craziest like fights as like adolescents, like like age like 7 through like 12, where we would like beat the shit out of each other when we'd see like play football. Like, one thing goes wrong and it's like all rage, like throwing like golf clubs at each other and shit, like all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's like now they're like my best friends because it's like at that age where it's like you go to like a high school or like I went to like a small school. You fight somebody and then it's like then you still see them every day of your life for like 7 or 8 more years. It's like at some point you just like are like, what are we pissed about? Like, why are we mad? It's like, oh, because we both like the same thing, and like you had it and I didn't, or like some shit. Like you like the Mets and I like the Yankees. Like, what? And it's like we're both from South Carolina. And it's like shit like that, dude. You just realize like it's all a joke, and it's like I don't know, dude. Time heals everything in a lot of ways, and it's like sometimes like you're just not mature enough on either side to really like break down what you got to break down.
Yeah, I mean, me and my best friend since 3rd grade have gotten in a bunch of fights. Like that at that age. What's also great is like you're not strong enough to really do damage to each other in a fight, and it usually it's at least on my experience is like those fights. It was like we're not really punching each other. We're just like wrestling, rolling around, whatever, and then you get up and you're like, my brother, I'm leaving. Like,
like me and my older brother, the bodybuilder, we still got into fist fights up until like 2 or 3 years ago, where we had this like, epiphany, like, oh, we like the same shit. It's just like you just like working out, and I like going to like festivals, but it's like we both still like electronic music. We both still like going to festivals. We both like the same type of girls and everything else. It's like and we're brothers, and we look alike. And it's like every fight, when it never ended, it would always be me take a swing, like miss, because I'm like hammered, angry at my brother. And then it turns into like, it always would end in a headlock. Regardless of who got it, whether I'm on his back like a monkey, like it's running through the air, like choking him out, or like I'm like on my knees getting choked out, just like pure force by him. It was always that, which is like, it's like such a like brother thing, dude. You don't see like many street fights end with just like a quiet headlock, give, or like basically like say uncle. And it's like, like no matter how much rage was in my mind or in the world at that moment, it's like just ends with like the most like brother, like I'm bigger than you did, sorry. It's like, this is the hierarchy you were born into.
It's so funny. Like me and my he's my best friend, like still to this day. And we'll leave it like somehow it'll come up in conversation. Like, remember when we used to beat the shit out of each other? Like, but like none of us ever had even like a bruise or, you know, a cut or anything from it, because it was just a wrestling thing, and it was like over like the stupidest shit. Like I don't even it. He's someone that I know has my back, you know, through anything, and I can always confide in him and be, you know, I can fucking cry to the guy. Like he's cried to me too, and it's happened both ways, and like I'm so happy. Like he's doing really well right now. You know, it sucks. He's a trainer, so like it's a struggle, you know, with this, but he's also been able to collect unemployment and you know, do some, you know, training stuff on the side with some of his clients, doing private stuff. And so like, but he, you know, he's got his own place, he's got a fiance. Like I'm happy to see him, like, you know, it's like he's figuring out life, and it's beautiful to see from this side. And like I'm just hoping that despite everything that has happened with COVID, that I can still plan the most amazing bachelor party for him. Like I freaking like
I'm gonna put my brother, like, cause like we like a lot, but when it comes to shenanigans and recreational activities, that's where we like never met eye to eye. So my college years like pissed him off. Like he went to like a very like, intelligent private school, like did great grades, went to Icon, now he's in law school. Like he's just one of those kids that's just filthy at studying, like just like the goat at studying. And like I guess like he just thrives in being in the school setting, and I'm all for it. I'm not that guy, but I can't wait for me to just set him up with, because like he's gotten more and more interested, like as like someone who's never had issues with anything like substances or anything else. He's more and more interested the more he's getting. His goal is to become a lawyer, make 20, 50, $60,000 a case, hopefully,
yeah.
and then do that and use it to be a musician and put filthy amounts of money behind his music.
Shout
And
out Armin van Buren, who did that.
that's it. So like he makes like popular stuff and like vocal chop type gigs and things like that. But like Armin van Buren's like his professional hero, because it's like he was like, wait, I can make it when I'm 30 and have the money to do it and like the resources to fall back if I ever have to type deal. And like, you know, we've seen Armin van Buren play for 60,000 people at EDC together. And like for him to like have that like register, like, wait, that's what he did. It's like his whole like, it shifted. It made him much calmer on the path he was on, and it made him more open to adapting and like being willing to go certain places. And he also, it's made him be like want to push himself more creatively, and it's gotten him interested in some of my shenanigans I picked up from festivals here and there. And not that we've crossed paths on that essence yet, but I know like when he gets to that point, it's gonna be like, give me everything, and I'm gonna be like, we'll give you a little couple things, but like let me show you why like this is that and this is this, and why like respect is respect things, but like don't ever abuse things and everything else. But you know, he's always taught me that about everything in the world, and it's like all of a sudden it's like that there's this like element of wookery that like I'm the one that knows shit about, and he's like he wants to know it, because like at the end of the day, like a lot of the people he's creating for are people that, you know, experiment and touch on like all these certain elements of existentialism and everything else that like can be incorporated with some of the recreational activities that go on with the festival or in that community. And like, I'm not sure like it'll ever be for him, but the curiosity that it's grown in him and like dating and significant others being more into things than he is and vice versa, it's been cool to watch him develop from a high-strung person in that rave scene that like, or it was like he was there, but like it felt like he was almost half judging people that were there too. And it's like, you are the same person, brother. And he would, and it's been cool to watch kind of like the weight come off his shoulders some and him be open to things and curious about, curious by nature, just like thinking about things more and why people do what they do and how they react to the way they react. And it's just been really cool to see him go from like a K at a small school in the South to living in Los Angeles to like, finally starting to trailblaze his own thing. And his journey has brought him to a point where I review his contracts when he gets signed to someone to a label and stuff. And he's in law school. Like he just aced a contract review class. He still has to send the shit to me. Like, is this what it's supposed to look like? And it's crazy that the world took 22, 23 years for us to finally get to a point where we're like, we're the same person. And like, these are the things you're good at. These are the things you're good at. And my motivation was always to be, I had a brother that had his shit together that loved music, and I had a brother that was the farthest thing from having his shit together from loving music. To this day, he's like in his 40s. He's had kids. My parents adopted his kids. He's still like struggling with like heroin, meth, crack. Like literally, my mom drove by his house. He was smoking crack on the porch like a week ago, and he's like a grown fucking man. And like not like nothing in my world would ever like make me think that like I should ever smoke crack. I haven't smoked crack, but I definitely don't think I will when I'm that age either. And it's crazy. Like I've always like wanted to have this like my like personal goal is like being able to help musicians, but me helping musicians is helping my brothers. And it's been really cool having like my brother and my dad's a lawyer and my brother's like I said doing the law school thing, having to call me to review contracts and stuff, and like really feeling like some of the things I set out to do when I first like realized I want to work in music, it's like now I'm like literally able to like talk to my brother for an hour about like release schedules and his marketing and what's working here and what's working there, his contracts, and like him like having weird back and forth to the label. And I'm like, that's where you tell the label to F right off, bro. Like it's like if they don't, like if they're putting you in weird contract, it's like crazy. Like my brother, who I look for advice, guidance, or has always been the one with his head on straight. It's like I'm having to tell him like, nah, like you tell that guy to go F himself, bro. And it's like, never in a billion years would he have taken that advice. And then all of a sudden, like a billion years has passed and he's taking the advice. And that was like, it's been like the specialist part about everything. And like, I got him on that. He was in the Aftershock. He was one of the Icon guys that was on our Aftershock, like take a week-long virtual music week. And like, to have my brother tell my parents that I got him a gig or type deal and then be like, what the fuck? Was like just like so cool. I mean I could get away with anything on the home front for like 2 weeks because it was just like he finally got to do something a little different and with some new people, and his music's starting to like really get there. Like I think he's at like 20K plays on his last release that I loved, and like before that, bro, he was getting like 15 to 20 plays, like. And it's just like, it's been cool seeing me start to get my stride. And then at the same time, my brother on the other end is finally starting to get his stride after being like the struggling electronic producer for, I mean, I remember going to his fraternity parties when he was like a sophomore in college, and he was like, everybody's like out partying and shit. And he's like in the back room DJing with nobody can see him. Like this is like the only place he can set up his board. And he's like just having he's just having the time of his life by himself. And
before we go any further, who the fuck was your brother?
Oh yeah, he's famously hot. Was on the Icon takeover, but he went to Icon, straight out of college. He was always just he's such a smart guy. Like he understands the mechanics of it all, but he does it like it's where he's finally starting to have success is he's getting his he had 7,000 plays, 5,000 plays, and 17,000 and 6,000 on his release from last week already.
Wait,
Um,
what's his artist name on
Famously hot.
famously?
Let me plug my brother real
Yeah,
quick.
dude, of course, of course.
It's him and his best friend from college, and his best friend didn't get an Icon. You'll appreciate this as a Cosmic guy, but he lived with 5 guys who went to Icon, and
That's the same as going back now.
yeah, it is. So he would pay them like little bits of money here and there, and they would sell them they would give them the lesson plans, give them the notes and everything. And so like my brother went from having to like, being the most schooled for their duo, and I've seen them grow to the point where now it's like it used to be my brother would start ideas and Austin would have to take him farther, and or Austin was like have ideas, but they weren't developed enough to really take them anywhere. And now it's like my brother's like, dude, I like got to get my production up. Like my homie's sending gas idea after gas idea after gas idea. My brother's like, and like he's finding his rhythm in that duo, and the other one's realizing like his bread and butter is being the one that can like get the creative direction of the song right. And my brother's there where he's like, I'm a sound engineer. Like I went to Icon and I finished the whole curriculum. He's a graduate. Like he did the whole thing just like you. And he realized like they've grown as a duo. And I'm sure that's something I guess you can relate to a lot too, because like it's duos are sick, but they don't work until they work, I feel like. And like we've seen some of the greatest, like Swedish House Mafia, like the gassest group to ever walk the earth. But like that was like, I mean, what is it? It's 3 guys. Like, can you like it's crazy to think how much patience it would take to have like a 3 or like even like this is like anything larger than that group doing electronic where it's like the crumbs are so small at first too. Like the grind is so real, and then all of a sudden it takes off. It's the patience it takes, I feel like, for a duo to really invest in what you're trying to do is something that, an individual artist doesn't have to get to do. Like, it's just like sports. You're a team. There are people who know how to play on a team. There are people that know how to do it themselves. And it's cool to watch that team like arc and watch how people develop into that arc. It's like something that's always like mesmerized me, I guess, is when the duos really get it right and like it works and the functionality of it, and you never hear problems or egos and anything else when it just flows. It's one of the most special things in the world. And I guess you see it with bands and everything else, but EDM's an individual sport at times, and it's cool seeing the teams flourish too. And like it's like now, as a former coach, as a guy who always played on sports and stuff, like a big team guy, so it's really cool to like it's really cool when you see it in the industry.
Well, I think a big part of it, like the reason why your brother and his guy are doing well together is because they're really good at different things. So that, it's like coming together like this, you know what I mean? Like it's not like competing over, well, my ideas are better than your ideas, so we got to do my idea and we got to mix this down, and I want to release this song. Instead, it's like, these ideas are fire, man. I'm going to make them sound better. Like we both love DJing, so let's freaking go hard with it.
Off of that, dude, I've seen so many dudes do it where it's like 2 guys that are in a Cosmic or 2 guys in an Icon, and it doesn't work because they're learning the same information. There's so much of the same where they're like, all of a sudden it gets to a point where you're just competing over good ideas, where it's like, where there's that is like my brother's able to look at like, he's schooled, but it's like he's able to look at that like, me not being in school and learning structure lets me be creative as shit. And it's like they're able to see that at this point where it's like at first it was like, oh, like I learned this today and now I feel like I'm ahead of him, and it's like no.
Mm-hmm.
He's better at shit than you, and you're better at shit than him, and it's like it's it's a given. It's a relationship. It's a relationship.
Yeah, dude. Because Chris and I, like, I've said this on each podcast, but I'm gonna act like this is someone new that's never seen this. So Chris is like the introverted, incredible musician, right? Like, grew up playing the piano. Grew up.
That's weird, bro. I've finished this, and then we're talking about playing an instrument.
Absolutely. So he also played guitar, but he was a lefty, but didn't restring the guitar, just flipped it over, and that's how he played. Yeah. So like, first, like,
Carl shit, like.
so, yeah. And then what I brought to the table was just like, I've always loved music. I've always had a deep love for it, and I've always had rhythm, but I never, got into instruments because when I was in third grade, you sign up for the school band, you put the three instruments you want to play, and like, I want to play percussion, I want to play drums, like, of course I want to play fucking drums. And then they're like, too many people want to play drums, but you can play trumpet. I'm like, fuck that. All right. Guess I'm not gonna be in the band. And now I'm like, damn it, Timmy Trumpet. I could have fucking but music has always been like, I say a lot of times, like, music saved my life. Like, it really absolutely did.
Same way, bro. It gave me music taught me, and not just music, but the culture around it taught me who I was. Like,
Yeah.
I was always someone, like, in high school and stuff, when you're with your parents, you're a reflection of them, the way they raised you, the clothes they want to buy you, everything else. When you get into college and like you slowly become your own person. And unfortunately, the fraternity scene is not something that does that for people. And like, they might think it, but they're wrong. You are all the same, guys. I'll say everybody at your SEC fraternities, you are all 100, 200, whatever many you are, you're all the same. And it hit me. And then like, once I broke away from that, kind of like did my own thing, it's where music was like, where I go to festivals where people are like, like storing SpaghettiOs and weird shit, like dime 10 girls, like SpaghettiOs. And it's like, what? And like shit like that. And it's like, I had never seen people be like that loose free and like, just like, I don't give a fuck that like you smell like shit because I smell like shit, or I don't give a fuck that you have tattoos because like, look at my sleeve. And it's like, I'm from the South, bro. Like people are reserved. I got a tree on the back of my arm. I went home, parents like, what are people gonna say? Yeah. I'm like, nothing, bro. Like, I'm wearing a t-shirt. Like,
fucking nothing.
I showed up every time I leave my parents' house. I come home with a new tattoo. I showed up with this jellyfish like 2 weeks ago, and they're like, "Why?" And I was like, "I like jellyfish. Like, it's just the wave." It's my aftershock jelly. I named it Jerry, bro.
That's freaking awesome, man.
It was just like, but it's just like crazy to think that like you spend so much time conforming to the coolest guy in the room or whatever you think that is. And then all of a sudden, like, there's a snap and you're like, I can be the coolest guy in the room by not trying to be the coolest guy in the room. And that's when, I don't know, like that whole like finding your true self is like a crazy real concept that like is important to life, but music and the culture behind it is what, made me my true self, made me kind of stop looking. Not that I don't still look to dumb things for closure and like comfort and everything else, but it made me start thinking about what, how, and why I look to certain things and why I react to things I do and why certain things get to me. And like, don't get me wrong, like if I'm like want to be in this festival squad and like they don't like me as much as this one, like, oh, I'm so heartbroken, and then I don't care because I'm with one of them and I'm having a blast regardless. It's the same shit I would have been at. And it like, but it's just crazy because like the culture is built off of individualism so much, and it's wild that like so many people are a part of things that are like just built off of like, nah, like it's not working unless you do it like we do. And it's crazy when you all of a sudden like realize that like there's no right approach to things, and like there's no wrong approach to things. It's just your approach. And it was just, I don't know, dude, like it saved my life, because like I don't think I really started living with that before I like really got into music.
Yeah, I mean, why? What I kind of took away, like, because every time where I was some kind of emotional wreck or felt alone, like there was always music there. So I on my like journey through life, it's been like music like helped me survive my emotions to get me to the point where I can start doing music. And then I had to get clean, and then Narcotics Anonymous like taught me how to survive my emotions, not help me survive, like how to deal with these now emotions, and to how to the biggest most helpful thing that I ever got from it was just like being open and honest and not keeping it bottled in. And when I'm very grateful that I have that, like, community, love, connection. Like, those are the things that addicts are missing, and those are the things that can bring them back. And like, it's hard because now look, here's two people that suffer from the same exact disease but are treated completely different by society. You have the person that's really overweight, you have the drug addict. They suffer from the same thing.
Addicted. They're
Addicted. It's
yeah.
addiction, and the
And
same,
comforting too. Like it's the same. It's the same chemical. It's similar chemical reaction to the brain. Like
yeah,
it's a coping mechanism in so many ways.
absolutely. And you have like, and then I even heard this guy, David Cho. I hope I didn't get his name wrong, but he's like, he had like such an emotional podcast on Joe Rogan recently, and but what was so beautiful about it, and what made me really gravitate to this person, is like he was himself 100%, and was open and honest about how he was feeling, and had even like took a moment to be like, hold on, Joe, can you give me 10 seconds to just calm down? And it wasn't like 1, 2, all right, I'm good. Like, he legitimately like paused for that 10 seconds and like gave him, and then was able to come back like calm and talk about it. But he talks about how it's like his video game addiction and porn addiction, and like all these different things, that it's all like it's all drugs. It's like it's anything that makes you feel good that's outside of yourself.
Exists in your brain, and it's released every time you do something you like.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And but then if someone, he talks about, because he said he's been to every anonymous meeting that there is, and there's like, it's like you go to a place for help that says in its literature, we don't care what or how much you used, right? And then you have someone who's coming there who's either addicted to food, video games, even if it's just pot, but they're doing all the same things that so a heroin addict does to get that next thing. And it's ruining their life. Like, they're getting arrested a bunch because not everyone's like Cali, but they're coming to this place. They're coming to this place for community, for connect, like for some sort of help with their thing. And then you have people that are shooting dope and be like, you're not a real addict, and they're immediately shut down. And like, the person who's saying like you're not a real addict is someone who's probably also got like 20 days clean and doesn't get what Narcotics Anonymous is about, and that it's the disease of addiction, not addicted to needles, not addicted to crack, not addicted to this. And so I'm happy that I'm now open and honest with with social media and everything, that like, yeah, I'm in recovery, like whatever, like I've got a life because I went to recovery.
I mean, even speaking on that, dude, like the first time music really like taught me how to control my emotions is like, I've had family members, like my God family, my family, everything else have struggled with it. Like, I've had brothers lose marriages, kids, everything else through it. I've lost siblings, but my God brother OD'd on heroin when I was sophomore, and the way our like family dynamics worked was he was the oldest one, I was the youngest one on our side. So whenever we like did family trips and shit, he got me, and like that's the way they were like, all right, he's accounted for. So like he was my boy, like through and through. I wrestled, which was like one of the wrestling was like the biggest sport that impacted my life. It teaches you so much about yourself and everything else. Teach you how to control your body, cut weight, force yourself to do things you never thought you'd do. And it also puts you in the middle of a gym with like 1,000, 2,000 people and puts someone in front of you and it's like, fuck them up. And I loved that. And he's the one that like introduced me to all that. I was going to his matches and stuff when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, all through the years. And then when I was a wrestler, he would come to my matches. And then when I became a coach, he would come to my matches. And then I went out of town to like a fraternity trip one weekend, and my parents were on a cruise, everything else. He gets in an argument with his dad over like $40, very typical type shit. And he gets the $40 and then never comes home. That's like that. I mean, that's a timeless story for heroin addiction. And my family argues and argues and argues over if they tell me Calhoun's going to react terribly. He's at a fraternity weekend with drugs and alcohol and girls and other people, and like finally my brother was like, you've got to fucking tell him, like there's no way you don't tell this kid that this has happened. And they tell me, and you know, immediately just like ripping Porter Robinson. I was like kick everyone out of my room. Like anyone that's like trying to be around me can fuck off. Call my two best friends that know the Godbrother, have known me my whole life. We were in my fraternity, had known me since I was 4 years old, and like had been my homies ever since. Like to this day, I talk to them still. And like I call them, they're the only ones allowed in my room, and we just like sit there. They just sit there and just watch me like pour out my eyes to shelter for like 3 hours straight. And then it was like every time I would go, you know, I couldn't go visit his grave or anything unless I was listening to that song, because it was the only thing that comforted me and stuff. But like, you know, like the things I would have done, like the things I would do to have him accept the NA when he was in it, or to have him take the rehab program he was in, or to find that comfort of whatever was like, you know, I'd give anything in the world to have my Godbrother back. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's crazy. Like when you were somebody like that, where you know, like you're 20 days sober, whatever, look at that person and tell them like, you know, you're not a real addict, this or that. But it's like how they're struggling with something, and that thing could take away their life, either whether it be jail, you know, socially, like, you know, like you become a shut-in playing video games for so long you don't know how to talk to people, and all of a sudden you can't find love, you can't get a good hold down a real job, all these things. You telling somebody like that, not saying something like that, can ultimately change someone's life forever. Accepting them as opposed to shunning them, or telling them once again why they're not good enough when their whole life they've been coping with the feeling of not being good enough or something like that. Like you can save someone's life. Like, so the open-mindedness you have to your approach of Narcotics Anonymous, Recovery Unplugged, everything else, like it literally saves lives. And like people who aren't as directly affected don't get to see that, but like knowing that you can, like personally knowing that I can wake up one day, like I'm waiting on the day that my brother's just not on the face of the earth anymore. Like we don't talk anymore. We had a bunch of bad falling outs from stealing, everything else, and him just like, you know, coming in. He would literally, when I was in college and like, you know, struggling through certain things, he would come in, call me, get me to confide in him, and then he would sell the information to my parents. And like shit, like weird shit that was like, it fucked me up, bro. And it was just like, but it's like what I would give to like, and what my sister, who's his daughter that our parents adopted, like what she would give to have a normal fucking family dynamic, what I would give for her to have a normal family dynamic, what I would give to my godparents to have my godbrother back in their house. Like it's, you know, it fucked up their marriage, it's fucked up with all their kids, it's changed how they do holidays, how they, you know, it's brought them closer in a lot of ways, and it's brought some of their siblings and family members farther apart. And it's like, what I would do to just fucking take that away from them, bro. Like, do not make them have to do it. And it's like, those programs are literally some of the only things on earth that can fix that for people. Like straight up. So like, I mean, one, applaud you for that. Like, it's like one of the reasons. That's like one of like the dope like things that like really like made me love you, and like guys like Kyle and stuff who are just like open, honest, and just like here for the shit. And it's like, you know, not enough people are, and that's why there aren't as many people on the planet some days. Like, straight up.
Yeah. And I you know, I can't imagine, because I've only been on your brother's side of it, right? Like, I've only been the one that was struggling with it. I've never been the family member of someone who was struggling with it. And, you know, the only, you know, I can't tell you how to, you know, accept the things that he's done to you for, you know, that it, and accept that it is a part of the disease. It's not actually your brother. And
Yeah,
but like, I can't change, just like unless your brother wants to change and wants to accept that help, I can't, or you, I can't make you accept all the things that he's done, and still be like, tell you like you need to call him and tell him you love him. Like, I
yeah.
can't
Well,
do
dude, that's
that.
how, like, for me, what like really kept driving us apart, I guess, is like as I got, you know, the school, I didn't coach at the school that I went to. I coached at the rival school that my sister went to, and like being, it got me for like through college, like during college, it got me like so invested in her life. Like, I'm talking to like the boys she likes every day, and like the kids that are, and like older kids, like, you know, they're like cool, good looking dudes that are like seniors, are like being really nice to my like seventh grade sister. And like, she feels like, you know, a little Miss Popular, all this stuff and all this stuff. And like, for me, like getting invested in my sister's life, and she's like an incredible artist, and like she's 17. You can tell her something, she can draw it out and then animate it for you, and give you like a full digital animation in like 45 minutes. And like crazy shit. Like, she's got like 1,000 followers, or like, which isn't a ton, but she's like not
17.
promoting. She's not like promoting it or anything, and she's got like 1,000 people that like keep up with her art on the regular and stuff like that. And it's just like I think my sister's cool as shit. If I had a child that was cool as shit, it's just all those things where it's like, I just like, I don't know. It's hard to like, you just wonder like, when is there going to be enough life for you to live it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like my like, and it's just like it's like the better she does and the worse he does, the more it just like infuriates me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just so like, that's like the biggest thing, is like the more I'm invested in his kid's life, and like he's not, and it's just like, it's a weird thing for me. And I know I like, the more I do music, the more like I feel connected to that brother or sibling. Obviously, like, I've always been facilitating people in music, even ever since I was like just being quiet while he's recording as like a 7-year-old, 6-year-old, 5-year-old. Like, it's how I feel connected to him, but it's like, I don't, you know, like, I'm not socially connected with my brother, but it's like I, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm sure I'm too hard because I know I'm only who I am today because of the shit he's done. And I mean that negative and positive. Like, if he wasn't such a shithead of a person that loved music, I don't know if I'd want to help shitheads in music so bad. But I do. Like, it's all I want to do.
Laugh at that, but
Yeah, dude.
I know
No,
what.
no, no, no. I'm easy about it. Like, if he was to show up at my doorstep, like, I'd hug him, but I'd be like, why the fuck are you here? But it's like, it's just like this, like, I don't know, dude. Like, he's, yeah, it's a lot. He's lied, cheated, stealed, and all it takes for me to like want to have the relationship is him being clean. But unfortunately, it's always like 3-4 months, and it's like, dude, we've been doing this 3-4 months, 100 days sober. I'm off the wagon again
Mhm.
since I was 8 years old, and I'm 23 now. I think I'm not 24 now. Like, I, I don't know how old I am, 23, 24, whatever. But it's like, you know, it's 16 years of that shit. It's just like, I need more from him before he can have more from me.
Yeah.
And that's the problem there. And like my brother's the same way. My parents, my mom still is like, no, I don't think she's ever let one of his phone calls go to voicemail, and she probably never will. And but like, and my dad was not his dad, was technically his stepdad, and then like my parents had like me and my other brother.
Mhm.
But like my dad's probably as willing to do what move a mountain for him as anyone. And it's not his kid, but he's just been there for his whole rise and fall as an addict. And it's just like I've seen it affect my family, and then it's like he played a huge role in my god brother and my god sister who also has struggles with addiction. He played a huge role in normalizing a lot of the things that ultimately have destroyed their lives. And it's like, for me, it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's anger, it's sadness, it's frustration, it's love,
Mm.
but it's just like it's a lot. Like I know that my god brother and my brother ran in similar circles, or at least offered tons of advice in the world of heroin to each other. And like, you know what? Like, mine might not have killed my brother, but it killed my god brother.
Mm.
And like, for me, it's like, dude, you might as well have been the one to do it. And it's not like that, but at the same time, like, we all bond with people that have similar interests. Unfortunately, that was their similar interest. And like, don't get me wrong, me and my friends have pretty fucked up similar interests too. But it's nothing like that, and it's that degree. And like, I've like felt it, seen it, and like been on the wall. Like, I've known what a drug addict is since I was old enough to talk. And like, I don't know, it's just a crazy thing for me. And I think that's what has made me so familiar but particular with drugs. I'm not like, I'm the first person to endorse certain things and the first person to condemn certain things. But I don't know if I have that approach, but I didn't grow up like my whole life with like a normalcy of drugs. And at the same time, my parents, like, when there's anything, if even as like a 13-year-old, I got caught smoking weed, and like the first thing I'm getting told is like, "You're gonna be just like your brother," and it's like, for me, I'm like you're just gonna say, like, you're just gonna pick this life path for me. It took me a long time to realize, like, no matter what people tell you, you're only what you want to be. But like, it was a really rattling thing as a young age to be told, like, you're gonna be a drug addict, you're a drug addict, and this stuff. And it, at times, at low points in my life, I was like, maybe I'm just supposed to be a drug addict. And like, that's when, like, in college, I got out of it. But like, when like Xanax were big and like pills were a thing in college, everything else, that's where like I would look to, because it's like something in my head would tell me, like, like, this is what you do, like this is what you're supposed to do, like this is what is expected of you at this point in your life based on the decisions you made. And it was like, it was rattling for a couple years of like feeling like I was a drug addict, not because I'm sure I was a drug addict at points of that time, but feeling that like it wasn't my choice was like a very rattling thing for me, because it was like, it felt so rooted in my family, and like my parents, like, that's what they know. And when they see me do things that were similar to maybe one of those siblings or my god family or my god siblings, it would like fuck them up too. But it's like, it's not anything I'm doing. It's just like, it's human fight or flight, human instinct, going to what you know. Like, they haven't been trained for this shit, so the only other experience they have is that one, and they react just like they would have that time. And it was just a very, like, I don't know, growing up, it was, the drug addict concept was always something that was very like scary and present in my life, if that makes sense. And it
Yeah.
was something that I really had to like, it's something I really had to like work through. And even getting in the festival scene and like learning what works for me and what doesn't, and like what what affects my behavior and what doesn't, and like what I can get away with and what I can't get away with as far as like affecting my life, and like, finding my healthy balance if I want that to be something in my balance. And the more I get, and that's the other thing that I love, is like, the more I get like involved in the music hustle, the less of that is involved. Because it's like I'm not gonna go to a festival that like all my boys are playing, like I'm involved in, like and like run shenanigans. Like that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to run the game. Like let's go. And it's like so like that's like one thing that I've like enjoyed is like I don't know my like opening my like original journey into music, like tons of drugs in there. And then like the more and more involved in music, people are always like, yo, go to LA, get in the industry, like drugs, you're gonna get addicted to shit. It's like, dude, where do I have time or money for drugs? Like I was making 15 an hour at the most bougie employment I've ever worked at. I worked on Melrose and Wilshire in Beverly Hills, like and Skyrise, like seeing like famous people every day and shit. And it's like I can't afford drugs. I don't get invited to parties like with drugs. It's me and all my broke friends going to concerts and just being high as shit on music. Like it was like we can't even afford the drinks. Like
Yeah, right.
and it was like I don't know, so like it was cool to like I don't know, the more I get involved in the actual scene of it all, the more it's like that's is a part of it. Just like but it's like it's refreshing that it's happening naturally for me, I guess, and that like nothing's caught up with me to a way anything that's damaged like my life or family or my friendships or like any of that stuff. But like I've gotten real close a few times, and it's really good to finally be at a point where it's like I know what I like, I know what I don't like, I know what I can do, I know what I can't do, I know what I like too much, I know what I don't like enough. Like, and it's been refreshing. I don't condone everything in the world. I don't think everything's terrible in the world either. And I also think certain people just are better off without it altogether. And like that's just like how I feel. For me, it's helped me out a lot. But I also realize like there's two types of people that do drugs. Those who do it to expand themselves and those who do it to like cope with things is like virtually the two ways I see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a coper than I am an expander, and that's what's even made me pull back farther. Like I was in college, I was taking acid to cope with problems. Not gonna cope with them. You're gonna face them at that
Yeah.
point. And it freaked me the fuck out. Like I mean, I did it all the time, and it just really brought a lot of things to the surface to where I was like, don't really fuck with acid that much anymore. Like LSD's one of the dopest things on the planet. It can take you places well beyond the world we live in. But like I don't need to go to those places. Like I've been there, I've seen them. They're not for me. And just like I know, it's like I never want to touch a needle. I don't know anything about it, but it's affected me so much that like kick rocks, punt boulders, don't bring that shit around me. And it's just like I don't know. Like it's certain things where it's like I don't know what low point I'd have to get to shoot something up or stick something in my arm, because it's like I don't know. That is like giving up. Period. Like if you were to see a needle mark in my arm, I'm trying to kill myself, because like that's what I know. When those become a thing, people around me, people in my family, people I know, people die. And same thing with pills. Like I had like the person I went to my first Okeechobee, my first camping trip with, he turned 21 a month later. He died of alcohol poisoning on his 21st birthday. And we had never hung out before that event. And then we spent the next month being homies. He was talking to all of his people about it. He knew more people in the scene than I did, just from like being in a little bit wilder circles with people that got into the scene as well. And when he passed, it just like catapulted me so deep into the scene, because like the people I wanted to be around, the people I could grieve with, were people that were painters, graphic designers for music, muralists, and people working on production and all these things. And it gave me that community, but it gave me like an outlet for it. And it just like it grew and grew into this like 8-headed monster of being super into festivals, hitting one every weekend, like I would sell my car to get electric for it. It's like I don't give a fuck. Like and it's like that I didn't even know that was a thing years ago. And then all of a sudden like that experience with like going and having that experience with a human, and then that human being gone, realize you can never share that experience with them again. made me realize like how special these events are, and then realizing more and more how special these events are. Everything else was like wanting to be more and more present at everything I go to where it's like, I'd go to like a 3-day bass night tournament. By the end of the weekend, I'm like, I remember 3 songs from the whole weekend. And it's like, what the fuck was I doing? I was there the whole time. And it's like, okay, yeah, like I want to be more present. And it's like, oh, I see this beautiful girl, like could have been my wife, like perfect for me. I can't talk to her. Like, no, I'm a nice, normal, polite conversation. Maybe got a phone number had I been like, a present, respectable human being. And it's like, the festival scene, man, it just teaches you so much about yourself. And it's like, it's not a marathon, or it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a journey, and there is no destination. Like you're chasing a high, no matter what. Whether it be the highest you are is when the rockets go off perfectly for the headliner at the like climax of the whole weekend, or whether it be like like shit, homies smoking opium in the parking lot of Electric Forest. Everyone's got that thing they're chasing, but like you start to get to a point where it's like being in that moment and like being as present as possible for the the headliner's best part of the set, or like the finale of the weekend, becomes more important than like chasing balloons around the parking lot, or like like running a tank, like dope. Like I've seen nitrous tanks divide a friend group real quick at a festival, because half the group has a gas, half the group doesn't, and shit like that. To the point where like me and my boy used to pick up the big tanks for our crew, and we would kick it up for everybody, and we realized it was ripping the friend group apart. And we made it to where we were like, all right, guys, like it's not a thing anymore. Like we're just never doing it for any of you, like ever. Like, but we'll get it on like a birthday for one of us too, and we'll tell the squad, because we're like, you guys, like we can't handle it, but you guys can't handle it. And then like we all hate each other by the end of the night, and we're doing crackhead shit. And it's like we just like, it's crazy to see even my friend group is getting like more and more invested in not investing in drugs. And how like we have one guy, or one of the dudes in our crew was hooked on heroin by the age of 21. Beat it, hits festivals, goes harder than me in my dreams, sober as fuck, like stone cold sober. And I'm like, and it's like, but at the same, like he's just like dripping in positive energy now, where it's like you used to see him and be like, you're a fool right now, and like like it'd be tough to be around, and all of a sudden he's like coming back, and like like every girl wants to date him, every guy wants to mob with him, like everybody at the set's like, this guy's having fun. And it's just like, and he is, and he's got none of the things that he thought were fun about festivals with him, except for the music. And it's just like 10 times better for him. And it's been like that alone has been cool for us to be a part of, because it's made us be like, we don't need as many things. Like we can be just like more presently happy with what we got and stuff like that. And it's been cool. It was cool watching that develop with us as a group. I mean, I don't know, he's the fucking homie, dude. I'm so happy for him. Like I think he's at like almost probably like a full year now sober, which is like pretty dope. And like he was mobbing festivals within like 4 months, and like he'd be with the friend group, and he's like, obviously everyone around him is like passing spoons, doing this, eating that, whatever. And they're like, dude, we couldn't keep up with them. Like they were like, he was just everywhere the whole weekend. And it was just like, but like in a positive way, like he's texting me and calling me the whole time, so I know he's sober, because like we couldn't work our phones usually. And like the fact that he's able to like he's the only person in the friend group to FaceTime me in for like the opener of big sets and stuff like that. It's like, okay, clearly like you're keeping your shit together. Plus everyone says he is. And it's been just so cool to like really see him, grow as a person, and grow out of drugs. Like it's a dope thing when you really see someone catch their stride with sobriety.
Absolutely, man. The thing that you touched on, like there really is the person who's coping or even just stuffing down because they don't want to face it versus someone who wants to expand their mind and stuff. And it's very simple. I think, like, we're taught at a young age, drugs are bad. If you do them, you're gonna die. Like, that's what is in just pushed in our head with the whole AIR program and all that. And I think a better way to kind of educate people is that, like, drugs are going to do exactly what they're described to do, right? So, like, if you're someone who is not happy with life and where things are going, like, when you take a drug, you're now going to feel that happiness, but all the problems are still there. So now it's just avoiding and the problems. So, like, where someone who is having a great time and, like, wants to expand maybe their spirituality or something, and so they take acid and they have this great experience. Like, you said it perfectly. Like, when you if you have problems and take acid, you're gonna face those problems. It's
Yeah,
not that's
yeah,
that's the one, where it's a little different. Like, if you're stuffing down problems and just whether it doesn't matter what drug it is. If you have problems and you're trying to avoid them, you could get into a deep hole where there's nothing. Excuse me. You can get into a deep hole where you're always chasing the next thing to avoid what you're going through. And being able to find, like your boy, like, to find that thing that helps you escape in a positive way is exactly, like, I'm really grateful I was able to experience that. Like, I waited till I was 10 months clean because I was scared. I was
yeah.
scared to go to a festival.
I was terrified when he told me he was going to, like to watch my boy go from, like, his lowest point in life to, like, all of a sudden, like, it's one of his highest peaks, and then being like, you're putting yourself in a situation to get right back there was like, I mean, like, even like, I still get anxiety when he goes to, like, gigs, or even, like, goes for, like, a hard, like, when he goes to, like, a big weekend with the homies back east. Like, I'm still like, I still just pray that they don't call me, or like, we got to talk to him. And it's like just because, like, it doesn't take much to, like, throw you back on the wrong path. And it takes a lot of responsibility, a lot of, like, manpower, and knowing who you are to really face those things head on. And it's like, everyone has their own timeline for how they process things and get through things, and that's part of knowing your emotions and learning how to deal with them. But it's, like, I don't know if I'll ever not be, like, terrified for him. Just like, if my brother was, like, fully get sober, I'm never gonna, like, sit there and be able to, like, watch him drink and not be like, dude, no. I don't care if you're 30 years on me. Like, it like you've paid your dues, and, like, don't put yourself in a situation to have to start right back over. And it's
Yeah.
one of those things, man. I don't know, like, I mean, you tell me, man. Like, I don't know if it ever is, like, not, like, intimidating or scary in essence to, like, put yourself back in those situations.
Well, the big thing is, like, do I ever think I'll smoke weed or drink again? Like, I don't know. But if I'm thinking about I can never do it ever again, that can be overwhelming. And not just that sense, because, like, there's certain events and stuff, like think I can get caught up in it playing the fairy tale, right? Like, okay, what about at my bachelor party? What about at my, toasting at my wedding? What about, like, my buddy's bachelor party, giving the toast at his
Yeah, yeah.
wedding because I'm going to be the best man? Like, what about all these? And I'm like, first of all, Ryan, you don't even have a girlfriend, so forget about the whole wedding thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just playing fantasy games right now.
Oh,
You know
bro.
what I mean? So, like, but cross that bridge when you get to it, right? And so, like, living in, like, today, well, my schedule was wake up at 6 a.m., go to the gym. My home group is 12 to 1 online for Narcotics Anonymous. So do that. Then I've got a podcast with you, podcast with Heth after.
Oh, you got a good day
Hell
going,
yeah.
you know?
Hell yeah. And
Not
then
just watch.
and then it'll be, it's 3:40 now, so this is flew by, first of all. But and then after that, like it's it's a hurricane out, so like I'm not going anywhere. So even if, I was thinking about it, but then also like I gotta yeah, right.
Yeah, well, nah, dude, it was cloudy this morning. I was like, oh, it's that one cloudy day of the month. Nope.
Sun's back. So, I've got my day up until 7 p.m. like planned out, and then like, all right, well, I'm probably gonna be fucking exhausted at 7 o'clock anyway. So like, all right, I pretty much planned my day out where like I'm gonna get another day clean, right? Like I have no idea what's gonna happen between now and before I go to sleep, but like that's all I have to worry about. It's like I know right now I'm talking to Calhoun about all this beautiful experiences that he's had and I've had, and like the struggles and like your family and having, living through, like reliving that and like feeling your emotion from it. And like none of this, none of my success in music, none of this podcast, none of the, I fucking won a powerlifting competition. Like what the fuck? Like none of my, like, like none of these things, like all the most beautiful things in my life have happened since I got clean. All of them. All of the most beautiful things. So like it would be so selfish of me to think I can have that fucking drink, to think I can have that fucking joint, even though society is weed's not a drug, and everyone can go out to have a drink and with their friends. Like it's not
Like,
like
movies and shows are telling you, like movies and shows are like normalizing drugs and stuff more and more and everything else. Like society's telling you these things, but like just because it's there doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make it. And not everyone needs it. It's not. It's not. It's not that it's not for everyone, but everyone's not for it.
yeah. And like so with why, like, and yes, maybe there's that slim possibility that I could go back to like just the joint at the end of the night, right? Like maybe there's that slim possibility, but is that worth the risk of going back down that dark hole of addiction when all of these beautiful things have happened? Like just for today, absolutely not. None of it's worth it. I have no desire to go back to using fucking drugs. My life is fucking beautiful without fucking drugs. And like your fucking boy who's going hard as shit at shows, like I don't know if you saw my set on the live stream, but that shit, like, I go fucking hard. I love music so freaking much. There's more in this world that I love than being behind the decks and fucking going hard. And like I could go, if that's why all the hours in, with Chris and doing freaking, photo shoots or editing videos and working on music and like all this shit. The only reason why I can deal with and do with all that stuff is because I'm gonna get that 1 hour on stage. Like that's the ultimate.
I think a huge part of sobriety is like having priorities.
Absolutely. Finding one of the first things I was told in like, I went to rehab, got out of rehab around 90 days clean. I met this guy at some AA meeting. Like I see his face right now, but I don't remember his name. I mean, that was 5 years ago now. But he told me, he's like, we use drugs because we wanted to feel good, right? So like we got to find stuff that we can do every day to make us feel good, that are positive. So like working out was the number one, like eating healthy.
Huge, dude. Working out is huge for your, like, just like getting through the day, your mental state. Like you wake up and hit 15, 20 push-ups, you'll feel better than if you didn't.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what people don't get. Like, it's not for everyone to, like, I woke up at 6 a.m., got to the gym by 8:30, was there till 11:30. Like, that's not for everyone. But like, I need that because I'm not going to be able to go to the gym tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to go Thursday. And I'll finally be able to go back on Friday. But like, I also have like 2 podcasts scheduled. So like, I gotta make sure I wake up early, and then so like, I need those specific, like, I'm gonna make the most of it. And like, I'm a power lifter, so like 3 to 5 minute rest in between sets to rebuild the energy system.
God, dude, powerlifters take forever to finish.
Yeah.
Workout, bro.
I was in the squat rack for an hour and 45 minutes today.
My brother will be like, he'll like make plans to go to dinner, and I guess like he does powerlifting too, and I'll be like, yeah, like, we're gonna work out, and like for me, like go work out, you'll see me in 45 minutes to an hour. For him, like, see you in 3 hours, bro. Like eating at 10 o'clock tonight. And it's
Yeah. It's the truth, man. And it's all about because it's such a max lift, you have to, let the energy systems rebuild versus someone who's trying to, just like burn a shit ton of calories to lose weight. Like, having 30, 60, 90-second rest in between sets, like you're going to keep that body temperature up. You're going to keep that heart rate going. You're going to be moving all around, and then you have the bodybuilder who's taking 2-minute rest in between sets, but their set is also taking 2 minutes because they're doing 15 reps, slow and even slower on the way down, because you got to have the muscle. So there's everyone's goals are different, and like, you have to, the only way to be okay, I said a definite. I don't like definites. So a really successful, or something you can do to be successful here. That's the best way to word it. Something you can do to be successful in the gym is to set a goal and then talk with someone who knows about this goal and reverse engineer it to take the steps to get to that goal. See, that's a much better way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing we try to do with Aftershock. I think every manager, anyone who's ever, put ideas behind music, every artist even, like that's like, that's a time proven route to being successful at something. Like, it's how you figure stuff out. That's how most technology we have in the US was developed, reverse engineered from some other country. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like
right now with these alien spaceships.
Like, Elon Musk wasn't Elon Musk without like taking shit apart at a young age, learning how to put it together. Like, you hear so many engineers who like literally reverse engineer, learn how to do what they do from taking shit apart and then building it back
together. Yep. That's, I mean, my buddy, he runs a car mechanic shop, and like a lot of his stuff, like, for some reason, like, in my head, I had this picture of like the same thing with doctors. Like, no matter what the diagnosis is, there's exactly this exact way that every time happens and goes exactly the way it's supposed to in order to fix and repair it. And now it's like, first off, anything can go wrong in a procedure. So if you're cutting someone open, like, no matter what, there's a chance that someone could die. Like, I had that ignorance of like, okay, we have this thing, you go get surgery, it's fixed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like with a car, like, you have this thing wrong with it, you send it in, it goes in, it gets fixed. And I didn't know that like something could be wrong, and like, okay, we're going to try and see if this works to fix it. And then once they take that out, they find something else that's there. And then they take that out and they find something else that's there. And it's like, holy shit. And then you have the mechanic who fake does that to get more money. But like, it's really great when you're such, I'm not going to say how I know the guy, but he's a really amazing personal close friend of mine. I love him to death. Like, we're open and honest about everything. And he's one of the most incredible people I know, and to have that trust and faith in him.
That's lucky, bro. Not like literally no one has that.
Yeah. Trust me. Let's just say, like, I've helped him, so he helps me, and all that. So I mean, I'm not saying his name, so fuck it, who cares? I know him through Narcotics Anonymous. Like, I was at the first meeting that he went to in my area, and like we basically like our clean time is only different. It's a little bit different just because he was in jail for the first part of his clean time. But once he got out, and we've been going through this whole process together. So like, there's not many people in the world that know that much about me and what I've gone through as that person is. Like, not everything is meant for the floor is something that we say in even in Narcotics Anonymous. Like, just those types of conversations that happen like are with like your sponsor and the people that you're
there's personal levels to it. I mean, that's being part of a community, and like any community that's worth being a part of is going to help you grow as a person. And like I have my festival group, which is my community. That's just who I confide in and I develop ideas through. But like, I'm not going to call the whole group when my life's falling apart. I'm going to call my best friend Matt, who's in the group. And like, luckily, in the similar notion, Matt is also going through school to be a psychologist and a therapist and a life coach. So like,
nice.
I couldn't have a better person to call. And like, he's like, it's hilarious too, because he'll like meet a girl and they'll like, and they have this like, he has this problem of like girls getting like the Stockholm syndrome-esque thing where they like, girls like him because they like talking about their problems with him, and he hates it. But I'm like always like, oh, so like, should I not like call you and like? I was like, fuck no, dude. I want to hear about your problems. Like, call me up every day. He's like, just not if I'm like dating you. But it's not even dating you. It's like, just not like, if like we hook up, like that doesn't mean I'm your therapist. And I'm like, I was like, well, that shouldn't be a problem for us, bro.
Yeah, right? Man. Oh, this has been one of my favorite fucking podcasts ever, bro.
This has been awesome. This is my first podcast other than like me and Lou would run a little spoon every once in a while. But like, this has been cool, man. I haven't gotten to like, I don't know, I haven't talked about a lot of this shit in a long time just because like, haven't had it. But like, you were literally on the other side of like so many experiences that I've experienced in my life that like this has been super refreshing. And like, I don't like, you're the homie. Like this has been a long time coming, dude. But like, I'm glad we got to like start this. Like we definitely want to keep like chatting with you at some point, because like this has been cool, man. Like you really do have like I said, so much of the perspective of like the other side of so many things I've experienced in my life too, which is just it's been cool.
And I think it's really important to have like every part of the music industry, and even like I have a couple entrepreneurs that I'm trying to get on this that like run like a supplement company, a clothing company, even just like they sell I don't know how to describe, they sell food, but it's like they make it's there's like different parts of all the things that I love, and there's so many different things, and with all those things there's different experiences with the industry and different ways of looking at it. So like
things that drive those people to do what they do, and like everyone's got those reasons for why they get out of the bed in the morning, and it's like it's cool to like hear more and more about like the things that you appreciate, like why they exist.
Absolutely, man. And so like I said, I gotta get the boy Hef is coming on next. I'm freaking pumped, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, Calhoun, for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. This has been awesome. I'm so excited to see you and the remote controllers take control. It's you guys have a lot of cool things happening. You're fun energy, and like we all believe in what you're doing and the things you practice and preach, and very fortunate to have you in my circle these days. So I appreciate you every day, bud.
I'm terrible at taking kind words about myself. I love you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
To everybody who's been watching, how can we get a hold of you? How can they see your stuff? How can they see the event that you're throwing on?
The all-female event that I plugged earlier is going to be on August 12th, and we are officially moving over to the Aftershock Twitch. So it'll be Twitch/Aftershock fam, August 12th, starting at 6:45 Eastern time. We will have a female VJ by the name of Kelly Finn, who is just a baller. She will be going through some of her stuff, and then we will be moving into the 6 female producers, curated by Notlo out of Denver. She's incredible. If you want to keep up with me, you can check the Aftershock Pam page and the Aftershock page, as we are a 501c3 record label dead set on bringing music education and driving change in the world through the music community and the festival scene. If you want to keep up with my personal level, you can check me on I'm Wook of Wilshire on Instagram. My playlist is Wooks of Wilshire on Spotify. If you want to check out what I listen to, hit that up. Wooks of Wilshire is funk, soul, bass music, experimental, and some like indie thrown in there when I'm feeling it. It's gotten some people. It's helped Pfeiffer. It's how I met Pfeiffer initially. Really, it's how I met a few artists like that I'm like now friends with. But it's given me some opportunities to meet that. So playlisting is dope. Never know who you're helping out when you really get the thing going. Other than that, man, if you really want to keep up with me, find me at your local festival.
Hell yeah, man. So thank you everybody for tuning in to the Free Yourself fam. Peace, love, unity, and respect.
I love it.
Talk to you soon, brother. Love you, man. Hey, be safe. Drink vitamin C, take vitamin D, all the help, the good help. Take care of yourself. I freaking almost forgot again.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm at the house again. I love you. Mwah.